Alright guys, we're live. There we go.
What if I didn't believe in curve shots? What if I didn't believe in leaving the AHL?
What if I didn't believe in the West Coast Coast?
What if I didn't believe in goaltenders?
What if I didn't believe in Photoshop?
What if I didn't believe in buying out 20 site bands?
What if I didn't believe in paying for my whole LGHL team?
What if I didn't believe in selling my Xbox for Coke?
What if I didn't believe in letting cakes carry us to a home?
What if I didn't believe in hashtag?
What if I didn't believe in leadership?
What if I didn't believe in nostalgia? What if Odie didn't believe in ghosts? What if Leafy could make a save? What if Ballsy didn't tell any jokes?
What if I didn't believe in being an insider?
What if I didn't believe in news?
Now, what if a brother did not believe in heart?
What if I didn't believe in homosexuality? What if I didn't believe in that?
What if I didn't believe in desperation save?
Where'd you say that to me? What if I didn't believe in people hurting?
What if I didn't believe in
What if I didn't believe in the president?
What if I didn't believe in transvestite Aquaman?
What if I didn't believe in Game 7?
What if I didn't believe in competition?
Here it is. The waiting is over. The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions. And this one will last a lifetime. No more curses. This is unbelievable.
Frenwire took a shot. The defenseman fell over the action. And the Frenwire has it on that wing. Here's a shot. Henderson made a wild stab for it, fell. Here's another shot. Right by the score. Henderson has scored for Canada. Henderson right in front of the net.
That was Lister with the stick. What a stick he's got. He was having a great final. Building I thought he would be there. McCarty comes back with Neiman in front of him. McCarty draws. McCarty in. McCarty!
Will you please stand and observe a moment of silence for George, owner of the Season 19 Toronto Maple Leafs, who left us too early midway through the season. Following the moment of silence, we would like to play a song of dedication for George's family, his friends, and for his fellow league members who miss him dearly.
Life is changing.
All right, guys, we are live. The big award show, what everybody's been waiting for. We got some guests on the call, on the line here. We got some technical difficulties. We got some choppy audio, but we're going to push through it. I would like to go ahead and introduce my guest, my co-host, my friend, my lover, I Beat Up Cakes. Go ahead and talk.
Yo, what's up? Are we like gay butt fix lovers or just lovers?
I don't know. I'm a mother lover. You're a mother lover. We should just have sex with each other, is what I say. Okay. Next, I'd like to go ahead and introduce the man himself, the commissioner, Dick Brody Biggies, McDonald 19.
How's it going? I'm glad to be here, Yargage. Your intro was pretty awesome. Music was really good, but a little choppy, but it was a pretty good intro, man. Good job.
Yeah, I think what might have happened is I had to do that at the last minute, and I don't know if it processed correctly or something, but I'll go ahead and post that on the actual League Arena main site, and it'll actually be able to hear it instead of this dumbass stupid site. So
that's a good idea, but you got to remember that the website's actually League Gaming, not League Arena.
Okay, whatever. I'm stuck in 1999, so it's all good. I'm on like 30 hours of no sleep, so bear with me, guys. We still, I believe, have Boz on the line. Boz, are you there, or did we lose you? All right, we lost Boz. That's sweet. Boz, if you're listening, please try calling in again. And I also believe we have Zach here, too. Are you still here, Zach?
Yo, what's going on, guys? Glad to be here.
All right. Well, it's been a long season. We've all gone ahead and dealt with the problems that EA had, migrating SHL over to the Xbox One. We all thought it was going to happen. People sold their Xboxes. Pre-orders happened. And then at the end of the day, we got screwed. Our league took some big hits. We lost some numbers. But with great leadership, great innovation, Trish and Brody were able to save the season, in my opinion. I came back at the end of the year and was able to go ahead and participate in the playoffs. Now, Brody, do you have anything to comment on how you think this season went?
I think based on what you said with how EA kind of fucked us around with no ESHL, it was a little shaky and touch and go at the beginning. Some people were a little bit disappointed in the decision to go with NHL 15, but I think looking at how the season went, the numbers that we had, a late season expansion for a CHL, I think that everything went as good as it possibly could. I also think, too, another big part of it is the fact that we got a few of our guys from our community that are now on the EASHL or the EA Sports board. Nuge is out west right now. Tony Farrelly made it as well, and there was a couple other guys from our community, too, that made the cut. So I think stuff like that is going to help us innovate and push forward through these tough times.
Yeah, and I'm glad you touched on that, because that's something that I wanted to go ahead and say before we got into the meat and the bones of it. Is obviously I had you guys send a bunch of voice messages into Nuge. We'll get that put on the main League Gaming website so you can actually hear what I spent all that work on. But I was able to have about a good 1 hour talk with him yesterday morning as he was getting ready to go leave. And there actually is a very small chance that people from the EA Vancouver office are listening to this award show right now. Today was the first day that Nuge was meeting with the people in the office. I can't really say to you guys what all the ideas were. He had a lot of them. But what I can say to EA Vancouver is if you guys want to make money, right, and this is a business, everybody's in the business of making money, you need to listen to Nuge. He has the best understanding of what is good for the game, what's good for the community, and what's also good for you as a business, right? So on the small chance that anybody is listening, and if you're listening, Rammer, even though I think you should be making a video game besides hockey, maybe basketball, because that's what this is, basketball and ice. But News has good ideas. Somebody please listen to the man, right? So, you got any comments on that there, Cakes?
To be fair, NHL 14 was more like playing NBA than this year's game. Now the puck's just fucking weird. It's like a tennis ball out there.
Yep, I agree. So, but yeah, I would like to say that I think the season did go ahead and go pretty smooth for what issues we had to deal with and Brody had to deal with. I think that making the decision to go ahead and allow prospects and RVs to play up in the AHL obviously had a big impact on the league. The numbers just weren't there. The decisions were made to go ahead and, rectify the situation. Now, Brody, real quickly, I want to go ahead and touch base on what you think about the composition this year in the AHL, in the CHL. What do you think about what happened this year and what possibly will be different next year?
I think the biggest thing, especially when you talk about the AHL, is just it keeps every single season since we've come over from the merge. There's just been a crippling issue with people making second tags and the cheating at the AHL level just runs so rampant. We saw it again this season with MLGs sneaking back in, getting caught, narking out his buddies, stuff like that, right? So it's another huge issue. So moving forward with the AHL. I can't really see myself allowing prospects to ever be eligible in the AHL again unless we run into an emergency situation where we're short on numbers. As for RVs, well, I'm hemming and hawing back and forth. I still think there needs to be a limited amount of RVs that will be eligible for an AHL roster. Basically what it means in the end is the AHL position is such the AHL GM position, is such a tough place because, you're right in the middle of so many moving parts that scouting and bidding is going to play such a huge factor in AHL success this season. And I really believe that if I do make these restrictions, it is in the best interest of the league and to bring some continuity and some fairness to the AHL finally. So, to touching on the CHL, the CHL expanded quickly last year. There's a lot of guys, and I'm sitting at 31 CHL GMs moving in for next season. I have a limit of a maximum of 36, and I already have all those guys that are doing recruitment now for the CHL. So CHL has a bright future. All those guys that are down there right now in GM roles are excited. They're happy to be here. They're just really, really anxious to be a part of the league. So I'm looking forward to next season big time at the CHL level to see new faces, new people, and an exciting season down there.
Well, I want to give my input a little bit. I think that the steps that you guys are taking with not allowing prospects and new signups to directly go into the AHL, like you said, second tag problems. We want to keep every league competitive, right? And one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that they think that the league has to be built from the top down. Well, that's true in some cases. You need to have the top elite talent. You need to have people for the lower level guys to look up to. But at the same time, though, they don't understand the amount of work that goes into actually finding 31 CHL GMs, right? And they don't understand that, all right, if it's not competitive down there and it's like the ECHL of internet hockey and nobody is having fun and everybody quits, then that league disintegrates. The CHL disintegrates, right? So I do agree strongly with the fact that not allowing these RVs and prospects to go ahead and play in the AHL, because the CHL has to have a base of players. If they lose their whole base of players, there will be no CHL. It doesn't allow the draft system that you guys have set up to work properly. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people overlook. They just want to go ahead and have the instant gratification, and they want to go ahead and sign up. And, for example, some people were still under the impression that new signups that never played a game in LG would be eligible for the draft like they were in previous leagues and in previous years, which I think is a good change. So what's your opinion on this whole thing, Cakes?
It definitely stops the second tag issue that Brody was speaking of. Like, with the whole situation with the baby sends and that, talking with Tanaka and that after the fact, he did seem to not have any knowledge of that, and I feel bad that he lost two really good players, actually, to that, where I feel like his team probably would have been either in the Eastern or whatever conference we were in with us, or even in the Cup Finals. So, second tags, man, they play a big role, but it's just greasy to do that. Like,
what are you gaining for using a second tag, really? You can't even answer that, Yarg. It's like, what do you feel like they can gain from that?
I guess people must live for it, right? I mean, I don't know. Personally, myself, like, I love playing in leagues because you can play 1,000 games a week in club, right? And those, the more games you play, the less like meaning each one of those games gets. But when you play in a league and you're only, limited to 3 games a week, they all have so much importance to it, right? And everybody cares about their record and they want to support their team and their teammates and stuff like that. So the only thing that I can really think of is like, why do people want to use second tags? I mean, I guess they just must, live for it so damn much that they just, you know what I mean? Like, if you're an NHL player and you got to put a second tag in the AHL, like, I mean, I really just don't get the logic behind it. I don't think it's worth it to me to go ahead and risk getting sight banned and, not participating in that league because I wanted to play. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, don't get me wrong about that. Like, the whole NHL, AHL thing, playing in the AHL this season actually kind of, opened my eyes up again, and there were still some really good people down there that actually didn't get bid on in the NHL this season. I was quite surprised. And, I mean, the AHL has come a long way. I mean, when I went to League Arena, like, the CHL was a breeze. The AHL wasn't nothing for me. But nowadays, it seems to have gotten, like, the CHL's gotten better. The AHL has seemed to have gotten really good. And it was actually a great experience for myself playing in the AHL this whole season. And I learned a lot in there. Like, there is some good talent, even though people try to disagree about it. I feel like there is some really talented guys in there that deserve a shot in the show.
Yeah, and that's the thing I wanted to touch base on, too, is I know that me and you personally had talked about it about a couple of weeks ago, but the last time I played in the AHL was back in the VHL days, way back in the day, the first season that I got signed up for the VHL and I got randomly assigned. But this season right here that I just had after coming back, to be honest, this is like the most fun I've had in a very, very long time in internet leagues, right? The pressure wasn't there. I was fortunate enough to get assigned to a cool team with a bunch of good players and also fun people to actually hang out with. And if a lot of people could have seen our group meet chats, I think that people would have realized like how much fun we had. And to me, I think it's I can see why a lot of people have gone down. They had a chance to play in the AHL or NHL, and then they decided to take management in the AHL. Like a good example recently is Tanaka. Tanaka could have definitely been an owner last season if he wanted to, or even Hones Rule could have been in the NHL last season. And those guys chose to be in the AHL. And before, I mean, being an owner, I always had competitive AHL teams and stuff. But at the same time, like, I always had that drive to try to, compete at the highest level. But, playing this season is what, convinced me to go ahead and be owner again, playing in the AHL, having a chance to compete in the playoffs. The pressure wasn't there. It was fun 95% of the time. I mean, I was with a good group of guys. So, and obviously that situation doesn't happen for everybody, right? Like, I feel just like how there's really bad NHL teams that just have terrible seasons, that happens in every league, right? So the goal is to make sure that the leagues are as competitive as possible so there isn't a big discrepancy between the first place teams and the last place teams, but that's almost impossible to make happen. So what's your whole thought on the competitiveness of the two leagues below the NHL this last season, Brody?
It's funny you guys both said that. Summer season, last year, season 18 of NHL 14, I made a conscious decision and I jumped down. I skipped NHL bidding, jumped into AHL bidding, got picked up for way too much, ended up on a good team, and all things you guys just discussed, I experienced too. I really gained a whole new respect for the AHL. They're a good group of guys down there. It was probably one of the most fun I had in the season ever, pretty well, right? So I've been saying this for a long time now, and whenever back in the VHL days when we created the CHL, it really brought some structure and some stability to the AHL and allowed the AHL to become its own brand. And to see how the AHL continues to grow and develop, and its own same faces are down there each and every season, the same guys are successful. It's really nice because personally, in my opinion, the AHL is on the same level as the NHL now. Where prior to us, maybe coming here to LG, things were kind of it was always all the NHL. But now the AHL has its own brand of guys, its own faces. There's guys that are signing up late. I get PMs, a couple times a week. How do I go rate the AHL bidding and skip NHL bidding? How do I do that? So there's guys that are signing up late intentionally just to make sure they skip NHL bidding. And it's nice to see that. It was nice to see all the hard work that went into the AHL. from before my time as a commissioner to the time I am now, to see how the AHL has grown into what it is. That's another reason why I think it's important to eliminate as much cheating as possible from that level, because it's so competitive and it's such a great league that we want to make it as fair as possible. It also kind of gives me hope looking forward to my ideas for the CHL. Obviously, our numbers are low right now because of the next gen stuff, but I'm looking forward to when we switch to next gen. Hopefully, we have EASHL and the modes we need to compete LG on next gen hockey, and then we see all of our guys come home, all the big name guys come back, all the players that aren't in the league right now. Therefore, I can kind of focus big on the CHL having its full 60 teams, its full big schedule, and just kind of running with it from there. So that's kind of the future plan coming forward.
All right. Well, there's one thing that I want to touch on, and this is, and then after I touch on something for a little bit, where I want to get Zach on here because he knows a lot more about the CHL in this current state than I do. The one thing that I really thought was the big aha idea for the CHL, which you guys brought into here, was back in the VHL days. If you were an owner, you had to run an NHL team. You had to manage a AHL team. You had to help out with getting all those roster slots filled. And then you also had to go ahead and once they brought in the CHL, you had to take care of finding management for that too. And you had to go ahead and, of course, a lot of the guys who had management there didn't know the player base, so you ended up helping them out with bidding. And I was able to be successful out of the 2 of the seasons in the CHL. I was able to have good teams. My draft picks that I had went directly to the CHL because I had big organizational depth. But the last 2 seasons that I had to deal with the CHL, I found management that was I couldn't find anybody, and these were the only guys that were willing to do it, and they were subpar. They didn't really care, and it was just it was too much on my plate personally as an owner, having to deal with all those responsibilities. But I think the way that the new system is now, where you get guys that it's their own team. They get to do everything they want to. They're all in separate league, kind of, which is the way it is in the real life, right? So, guys get randomly assigned their rights, and there's, I just think that was the key idea that will make this CHL league successful. I think if you go ahead and have a CHL team directly assigned to an NHL organization, I just think that's too much for one person's plate, too hard to coordinate, and it puts all it takes is for one bad AHL team to go ahead and pilfer a whole roster of CHL players. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute Zach here because he was having a conversation while we were. So, all right, Zach, you back live on the air now, or what's up? All right, 1 second here. All right, well, anyways, we'll see if Zach comes back here in a second. My studio app here is kind of taking a little while to unhold people. But what's your thought on the way that you're integrating the CHL now, Brody?
Well, before I get touched on that, I'm talking to Triz on Skype right now, and he just wanted me to point out the fact that Blog Talk sucks. And once the show is completed, he's looking forward to you using the tools that he has in place to make this better. I think when we were back in VHL, I live in Ontario, and I'm really, really familiar with the Ontario Hockey League and how the CHL runs in real life. And there was a couple pretty good owners then too. Loophole and I are pretty tight. We talked about the whole system. And we wanted it to be how it is now, in the VHL. We wanted to have the CHL that was randomly signed, all the guys were on different teams, so on and so forth. So when the talks were going on between Triz and I about the merge, we kind of discussed, and I was like, well, how does your CHL work? And he kind of explained to me, oh, yeah, I have this randomly assignment system, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, that's what I've been wanting for years. So when he was like, oh, that's awesome. So it was a system that was already in place that, he understands how the CHL works as well. And he thought it was a great idea, so it was something he implemented prior to us coming here. So I just took the ball and ran with it. As far as giving these guys their own chance, well, the cool part about it is I'm trying to think long term here. These guys potentially could be the future of the NHL. We've already seen some pretty quality owners move on with life, right? Active built some hell teams in the VHL, and he's currently pursuing his career as a doctor, so he's not around anymore. So we've lost that quality of an owner, and perhaps we've replaced him in a couple seasons with a guy who started in the CHL. So I'm just kind of looking long term right now and to see how he's building everything, and that's kind of the way it is. It's nice. And the best part is all these guys in the CHL want the job. Like, they want to be there. They want to build. They want to learn. They want to grow. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for me to hang out with these guys and talk to them. And it's also nice, too. Like, I hired Zeno as the CHL commissioner moving forward. So he's had some pretty good experience at the AHL level, especially as a GM. So it kind of gives these guys the missing link that I can't offer. I've never been management. I've only really run the league. So Zeno has some experience and some advice to give these guys on building teams. So I think we're trying to give them as much tools as we can to be successful, and so far it seems to be working pretty well.
All right, real quick, I think the issue that I'm having is I've never broadcasted before at 8 p.m. on a Friday, which I would assume is the prime time for Blog Talk Radio, and I think there's like hosting servers for the studio or shit. So anyway, Zach, you should be live on the air now. So what's your opinion, Zach, on the progress in the CHL, and where do you think the CHL can improve going into next season?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you, buddy.
All right. A cool thing I like about the CHL is, like, each three leagues, NHL, AHL, CHL, it's like a whole different atmosphere, and I kind of experienced that whenever I did my shows, but that was also a mistake. But I experienced the three different atmospheres of all three leagues. In the NHL, pretty much, it's like each team is just kind of like far knit. It's like not connected at all. There's a few friends, but like most of all, it's just like a lot of chirping going on and stuff. And the AHL is more competitive, and there's less chirping. They just bring it on the ice. But the CHL, it's closely knit because there's like the teams with friends and stuff, and it's stuff goes on Twitter, and I'm pretty sure it goes on both two leagues. But to me, the CHL is just special in that it's more social. You get along with people easier than in the AHL. So, yeah, Brody mentioned it earlier that he said that I should stop doing the NHL and AHL shows because I'm going to be a CHL GM next year, and I totally agree. So that's going to happen. But I think the CHL, like you said, it's the future of the NHL. These kids that are, including me, that are being in the CHL, they're going to grow up to be maybe 16, 17. Like, I want to be an owner in the NHL. I want to be the future of this league. I want to start being more intermediate into staff. So, yeah, the CHL is the future, and I think if you give guys a really good experience their first year in the CHL, they're going to come back for more.
Yep, and like we were saying earlier, I think the big thing that's going to help the whole league from the bottom up, it's going to help the AHL with all the second tag problems, is making prospects play in the CHL full time. That way, if you want to go ahead and be a part of this league, you want to get drafted, you want to be like Aaron Ekblad and get that big number 1 overall pick, you have to grind out your time in the C. And it gives people a chance to go ahead and see what every player can do. Because under the previous systems where a new guy could sign up and he could go from signing up 2 days ago to being the number 1 overall pick, you didn't know about second tags or who, guys signed up under different gamer tags than what they were previously known by. But now people have to go ahead and stay committed to a full season. They can't go ahead and just, 2 games the whole year and, and then still go into the entry draft and then go straight to the NHL. So one of the things I did want to talk about with you, Brody, while I got you on the line here and all this stuff is, we all saw your force read today. I want to talk shortly about the new trade request changes and also the player commitment changes with the repercussions for refusing to play and all that stuff.
Yeah, so last season was a pretty hot topic, obviously. I like to, during the season, I like to throw ideas and just topics out to the owners and let them go with it. And one of the hottest topics of last season was definitely trade requests. And one day I was just like reading some of the conversation, looking at the frustration from the current owners, who I do believe we owe a lot to, because without those 30 owners from last season, we probably wouldn't have had the success we had at the season. So I pulled the numbers, and at about maybe a week or two prior to the trade requests being closed, there was over 300 trade requests between the AHL and NHL, which is like roughly almost 33% of the league as a whole that requested a trade at that time. And you listen to some teams that were crippled by these requests. It started out good, had a couple breaks, and people left. And it was just like, it was very, very evident then to me that, something needs to change to make this better. So we hemmed and hawed, and we threw ideas around, and some of the owners came up with these suggestions and came up with these ideas, and I truly believe that the system we have in place is good now. Like, I've restricted the amount of contracts an owner can actually issue during a season. So if an owner can only issue 8 contracts per season, there's a good chance he's going to give his 8 best players an additional contract. So, a guy that's maybe $10 million, $12 million may not end up with, a contract, 2-year deal, only ends up with a 1-year deal. So it makes sense that players on a 1-year deal are restricted to only restricted not being able to request a trade officially. That doesn't mean they can't, be adults and be mature about it and go to the owner and say, hey, listen, I'm not really pleased with the way things are going. I don't like my line mates. Is there any way, if possible, you could trade me somewhere else? And then it's up to the owner. At least the owner knows, okay, this guy doesn't really want to be here. He has value. Maybe I can get some value for it. And also at the end of the season, it's rewarding. A player, struggles through a shitty season, and then he's only on a 1-year deal. Well, at the end of your 1-year deal, playing on a shitty team where you probably didn't produce the numbers that you could on a good team, you go head back to bidding, and maybe this time you head to bidding and you get a lower salary and end up on a better team. So it's kind of a give and take. Goes hand in hand as well too with like the new fan policies and stuff. But we're trying to get away from giving out site bans as much as possible because it just site bans are shitty for everyone. It just promotes people from coming back on second tags, and it causes more headaches. But at the end of the day, like, it's not something that we pride ourselves on doing. Like, it sucks. But at the same time, we have to protect people. We've had some recent members on our website that are serving site bans now for being in the chat box and openly chirping what happened to George in his personal life, and that's just in such bad humor and such bad taste that a site ban in those situations we've all kind of agreed are more deserving. When it comes to refusal to play, the biggest issue this season was the trade that comes to mind was between New Jersey, who was the number 1 team the entire season, and Columbus, and Columbus was battling to make the playoffs. So the trade ended up where New Jersey wanted to get rid of MVP. MVP's top line left winger, a good player, and he was on a good team. But if you talk to the management from New Jersey, MVP went to them, said he wasn't happy, said he wanted better line mates when he was playing with the best players that New Jersey had to offer. And obviously they were good enough teams since they won the league and almost won the Stanley Cup. But anyways, MVP wanted off the team because he just wanted to play with better players. So the offer went out from New Jersey, and Kopitar and Stick are pretty decent guys if you ever dealt with them, and they're obviously going to be pretty honest about what they're trading. So the offer comes in for Columbus to make the deal, and it ends up that the trade goes through. Columbus picks up a talented player in MVP who may will help them get to the playoffs, and MVP tells them that he'd rather quit than play for them. He'd rather be blacklisted than play for them. So what's Potsy really going to do as an owner? Like, you could blacklist this kid for being an asshole and being a douchebag, but then he gets nothing out of it except potential compensation. So all Potsy does then is ask MVP where does he want to play. He moves MVP to a new team and moves on with it, which is something that majority of the owners would probably end up doing because there's no benefit in just blacklisting the player. But that being said, we're giving our players too much power, which is causing us so many issues. So I'm hopefully just trying to give the owners more power and more tools in their toolbox to moving forward, so at least these problems don't happen again.
Yeah. Go ahead, Zach.
Can I I just wanted to touch on something you said about the whole people saying rude humor about chirping about what happened with George, and I think it's happened a lot more this season than it has in the past. I'm pretty sure it's happened in the past before, but I think people have to figure out where the line is drawn from chirping to cyberbullying, because you can get site banned for cyberbullying. I've experienced this on the site, but I didn't take it as harsh as someone who hasn't taken it before would. But the whole thing with jurors and everyone just not enjoying, just publicly going out and just saying, oh, this guy's fat, I know I'm fat, but at the same time, if someone who is new to the site didn't experience this type of hate, wouldn't take it so well. So I think people need to figure out, is it right to say this stuff? So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that point up, because I'll get to you 1 second, Cakes here. But the one thing that Zachary made a really good point is some people have tough skin, right? And obviously being part of this NHL community, part of the living for it is living to chirp everybody else and talk shit and all that stuff. And I think that it can be funny and it can be done in good humor, but like Zach was saying, there's some times when you cross the line, and there's some people like right now our numbers are low for the league, right? So we're trying to recruit as many people as possible, so that way we can support all three leagues properly. And sometimes, there's a lot of things that are done and said in the way that brand new signups are treated when they join the league, and that goes ahead and, maybe that guy might be here for 2 or 3 days and he posts a question in the forums that most people think he should know or whatever, and then go ahead and, ridicule him right off the bat. That's his first experience with this league. And then you take a guy who could have been a potential media member or a potential owner or a potential, superstar in this league, but now he's totally turned off and he decides to go ahead and spend his time on NHL some other way. So, Cakes, I want to hear what your opinion is on that whole chirping issue and all that stuff.
I hear a lot of it now, to be honest, the AHL is less of a chirp show than it was in the NHL. I feel like it's more of those, those cocky guys, like you were saying, they're up there, but in the NHL, they're more of a cocky douchebag kind of thing. In the AHL season, I don't think I really dealt with a lot of chirping. When I went down there, I kind of chirped the shit out of Tanaka and Hones and that, just to get the water boiling in that kind of division rivalry. And, in good humor, I talked to him and we were cool with that. But on the other hand, you got those people, they say shit to like Kraz or ZachHere or something. And, one day maybe they can't take it anymore and shit could happen. I mean, I never fully believe in bullying anyone. If you're going to say shit to someone on a site, make fun of their skill or something. Make fun of something that they can come back and, show to you, you know what I mean? Don't make fun of, how they look, how they are, whatever they believe in or something. Make fun of their skill if you're going to talk shit on a site. Don't bring in personal attacks like that. It's just not cool.
Yeah, I think a good example would be like you were saying, attacking somebody's, skill set or skills or something like that. But for example, I don't think this ever happened before, but there used to be a player that played in our league. His name was the Iron Stub. He was actually a pretty good player. He actually had like no hand. He had like literally like a hook that he used in like a modified controller and stuff. So yeah, sometimes like I was on his team, in his organization, and we'd all joke around. But there's a difference between joking around and like bullying somebody on taking it to that next level. Like joking about somebody who has seizures and like stuff like that. Instead of like saying like, hey, you got no thumbs, or it's just, I think that people need to go ahead and before they say stuff, they need to sit there and ask themselves, is this the kind of person you want to be, right? And it's all, of course, we're all sitting behind a TV screen, right? So we're not face to face. And I think some people say things to other people that they would never say in person because they know that if they said that in person, they'd probably get the shit kicked out of them. So that's one, I try to sit there and look at it and say, do I want to be this kind of person who does whatever? So you got any opinions on that, Brody, at all?
No, I agree with all that. Like, we've got some pretty good things coming up right now with like EA Sports and obviously with Xbox and stuff. I just think that the chirping about skill and stuff, I understand. I played competitive hockey almost my whole life, and some of the shit I said on the ice, I definitely wouldn't approve on the website. But at the same time, I just want everyone to come here and have a good time, man. I don't want us to push away new members just because of shit being said on the website. That's all. So.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. At the end of the day, like, we have to understand that for the league to be successful and for every level to be, solvent, we have to go ahead and make sure that we're keeping our membership level as high as possible, because hopefully this next season we go ahead and get some more members as more and more people decide they don't want to stay on the one and just play like Hut and Versus all day. And we need to go ahead and basically get ourselves ready for the next gen. Hopefully Nuge and all those guys over there talk some sense into EA, and they go ahead and actually get a working version of club in the game for us, so that way we can go ahead and actually like play our league on the next gen. But now that we've gone ahead and talked about all that, let's go ahead and get into the actual, the cup, the road to the cup here. So we're going to start with the AHL first. We're going to do a little review of the cup, the series, and then we're going to go ahead and do the awards. We had a couple of members that were going to call in, and I don't know where some of them went to. I sent some PMs out, but I was a little bit backed up here. So
I sent a PM out, and Hones said he's around here, so I don't know if you accepted a new person or not. Hones, is that you? No? Okay. I don't know. Hones said he was around here, so. and a PM.
You guys
so I don't
Yeah.
know if he's here.
Yeah, Holmes is on here. I'm pretty sure we had a second Google voice caller here. I don't know. I tried to see who it was, but he's just been not talking. So.
You guys hear me?
All right. Well, let's go ahead. Are you there, Holmes, or no?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, we can hear you now. All right. There we go.
Wait, I have a question before we start. Are we going to do the CHL tonight, or is that later?
CHL will be at a different time. CHL awards are not really completed yet, so we can do that next time. Actually, you can probably do that, Zach. That's what we can hand up.
All right. Well, obviously, the road to the Cup was a long road. I think that this season there was a lot of developments that happened during the season. There was obviously some teams who had some surprises happen to them right before the end of the season. We had second tags that were found in Wilkes-Barre. We had a lot of teams that were expected to do a little bit more than they did, to say the least. Cakes, do you want to go ahead and start off? I want to ask you first, who do you think was your biggest disappointment in the postseason for the AHL?
Binghamton.
That's a tough one. I mean, a lot of people had Hamilton in, but I really felt like Syracuse was that top dog in our conference, actually. And when we had to play them in the second round, not gonna lie, I did shit my pants a little bit, you know. But I feel like they were a disappointment. I think they were top in the AHL, if I'm not mistaken. Going in like that,
yeah, they were
in the second round, you know. A lot of people had them penciled in for a cup chance, but I felt like they were the biggest disappointment. No hate towards them. They had a really good squad, but they ran into probably the hottest team going into the playoffs, which was us, picking up all these NHL guys because of the prospects thing.
Albany, man. Like, I looking at all their rosters and all their guys that are up for awards and the points they put up, and even you can talk shit about all you want about how Burton's like scores easy or whatever, like played nubs or whatever. But if you look at the thing that was posted for the awards, like he only played 9 non-playoff teams in all the games he played. So to see a guy like that with those numbers and that skill fall out like they did, because they were done in the first round, I think, right? So that was kind of surprising to see.
All right, what about you, Holmes? What was your pick for the most disappointing team in the postseason for the AHL?
I think I'm also going to have to go with Syracuse. Because they were up top there. They beat both of us out for the Presidents. And
my pick
than they did.
All right. Well, this is what my personal pick is. I kind of have a tie. My 1A team for disappointment is Hamilton. I thought Hamilton for sure was going to be representing their conference in the Cup. I'm kind of surprised that they ended up losing as early as they did. But one of the things that they, a little bit of insider info here, they have a big name player on their team, and I'll go ahead and keep him nameless just because I don't want to go ahead and embarrass him too much. But apparently he likes to stay up for like 3 days in a row. And once he does do that, he doesn't want to get on and play because he decides that he doesn't want to do bad in an AHL game. So, yeah, that guy's James's brother, Breeze. So, good player, but when he stays up for 3 days, he doesn't play. So, I heard that was a big reason why they didn't win a couple of the games is because they were expecting him to show up, and he just no-showed for him in the playoffs. And then the other team that I thought was...
sorry.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
To be fair, when we did play Syracuse, if I'm not mistaken, like our line, me and you, Yargich, played their top line, I think, in Game 2. And it kind of set the tone for the series. You know, we showed, we're not just going to back down when you're going to throw your top guns at us. We're going to come in guns blazing. And that was a really good game. Like, if you recall, my heart was beating rapidly. And I even told you after that, double OT, and that was some nerve-wracking shit. Whoever won Game 2 in my heart and what I believed in would win that series, which did happen. We won. We moved on, and history shows the rest of that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Just to give you guys a little recap of what happened in the game, it was their top line versus our top line. It was a biggie of the biggies for the AHL, right? So And it was a very tight game. It was 1-1. We ended up going into overtime, still 1-1 after one overtime. Went into a second overtime. And I can't remember exactly how the play happened, but somebody on Syracuse got a breakaway. He got tripped. So there was a penalty shot late in the second overtime. And our goalie, Sports, ended up making a really big play. He kind of rushed the guy when he wasn't expecting it, and he was still making a move, and he kind of ran into the goalie. And after that, we all said to each other, we're like, man, we have to win this game now. We cannot lose this game after our goalie just stopped the penalty shot in overtime.
The funny thing with that is he never joined our parties either. So like we had like that big discussion, like, all right, let's do this for Ye now. And turns out, man, he was probably one of the biggest reasons. Him and Bars were definitely top reasons why we made it so far. They stole games for us, and especially in that Syracuse game. I think Ye faced like 23 shots or something like that. Like he faced a shit ton of good quality in the slot one-timer shots, and he standed on his head for us, especially in that double overtime penalty shot.
Yeah, and there was one thing that I remember about that game and about the shot total, and it's something that I thought Syracuse did really well, or at least that line did really well, was when we were going ahead and clogging up the middle of the ice in our own defensive zone, they were getting the puck to their defensemen. And instead of going ahead and trying to make a fancy play and trying to go hit the winger on the on the far side of the play, their defensemen were putting on slap shots, straight 5-hole slap shots, but the guys had like hard shots. And I think that's how they scored their only goal in that game, was a real hard low slap shot that ended up deflecting off of somebody or something like that. But it came to the point where when they got in the zone, yeah, that's not like a super high percentage scoring chance play. But at the same time, though, they did not squander their zone entries. They were very efficient with the puck. We didn't give them any really high-quality scoring chances, but they took a whole bunch of those, hard, low slap shots. And as we all know, all it takes is one bad bounce or a goalie to get screwed, and those turn into goals. So I definitely agree that game, whoever won that game would have probably won the series. But getting back to what I was saying earlier is my other disappointment of the playoffs was Bridgeport. They ended up knocking out Albany, and Albany had a bunch of good players on them. They ended up knocking out Wilkes-Barre, which obviously, as Hones Rule knows, they had a bunch of good players on them too. I mean, they had a quasi-NHL line, just like we did. But when we played them in the conference finals, I just was not impressed at all. I thought we were going to get a lot harder of a fight. They just taken down two offensive, powerhouses in the East. And to me, I think that after having, two tough series and taking down two tough teams, I think they really came out flat against our team. So, anybody else got anything to comment on of this of the review here, or should we go straight to the finals?
Who do you think you're disappointed with, Zach? I didn't hear Zach, so I'd like to hear Zach. Zach, who do you think your disappointer was?
Obviously I was. You guys hear me?
Yep.
Alright, I did my AHL show, but I was following the entire playoffs, and one thing that I was not expecting was Hamilton to get knocked out. I felt like they were obviously the best team in their conference even, and I thought they were gonna represent the West in the finals, and I was hugely shocked whenever they got knocked out. So that's my disappointment of the playoffs.
All right, well, now that we've gotten to the disappointments, we have a couple of other people who are coming on as guests, and I'm going to go ahead and screen these guys in a minute here. If one of these guys is somebody from Chicago, go ahead and send me a PM in the chat box right now. But anyways, my assessment of the finals was you got two teams, right, that are coming in. They're both pumped. I think one thing that management in the AHL doesn't necessarily understand, which management in the NHL does understand, is the fact that line matchups and home ice play a huge, huge difference in a series. Because you can have good players, but if you get the wrong matchups with your players, you will lose a series. And I'll go ahead and let Cakes explain a little bit as to why, how that matchup and home ice advantage played to a big factor in this finals.
Now, like all all playoffs long, I was, telling Steeler, top line, they play home ice, top line plays home ice. You don't want that leg thing. I learned this from the great active dad. You don't want your top line playing on the road because of leg issues. When he told me something about his VHL days with Chicago, his whole fearless line played a road game against St. Louis, and I think it was I can't remember his gamer tag, but he's in Mexico or whatever.
Yeah,
and
it was St. Abra.
Yeah, there we go, St. Abra. Yeah, he hosted the games against Fearless, and Fearless was licking windows pretty much, licking the glass. They couldn't play. So learning that from Dad and being an owner for 2 seasons, I told Steeler and Sports, sack line or third line that didn't even show up. We used probably 20-something ECUs, probably an NHL, AHL, CHL record for ECUs in the playoffs, which shout out to all those guys for helping us out tremendously and being available as possible. But, you sack line your third line. That's what I was telling them. We were always on the road. I said, put out our third line game 1. We win, we'll go again. We lose, we go line 2, and so on. But when we went to the Cup Finals, we went Steelers line to my line, and we were up 2-0. And I was talking to Steeler for a whole day straight before line saying, you know what, sack our third line both games. Who gives a shit? We're good enough to take out both their lines. Steelers line took out their second. My line took out their third. And I'm like, Steeler, you know what? I feel they'll be foolish enough to go first and first because they want to try to get back in this. Sure enough, they went 1-1 against our third. Whatever, you beat our third line place. We don't give a shit. And then come 5 and 6, we got the line match again. Steeler played the same line. I played the same line. And it really played a big factor. And in my opinion, I feel like Dank should have taken a gutsy shot here and put his third line against ours. He should have kind of looked through the whole playoff situation and noticed, hey, no one shows up for the third line. Why am I going to play my top line? And I don't think a lot of people realize that the whole playoffs. And I feel like that was a main reason why we also won games too.
Yeah, and I want to jump in here real quick. That's the one thing that going into this series, right? When on the Senators, our top 2 lines, we had not lost a game in the playoffs. So you're facing 2 lines that were undefeated up. I don't see how you can justify putting your first line against a third line made up of primarily ECUs because Potato and Hertz never played in the whole playoffs. How you can justify putting your first line, which is one of the only lines that probably has a chance of beating our first line, and basically just, you get the 2 wins, but now you're making your second line and your third line play against 2 lines that are undefeated so far. So we ended up going ahead, and once we saw that they were putting out their first line for games 3 and 4, their 2 home ice games, as much as anything can happen, right? And, this is an EA Sports game. Bounces can go any direction and all that stuff. We knew at that point, deep down inside, that the series was ours. And I think that the series could have gone a lot differently had they have decided to go ahead and, like Cakes was saying, be gutsy, match us line for line. Go first versus first, second versus second, and third versus third. Because with the problems we had with our third line, even though I had confidence in our guys, I still think that they would have had a very good shot of taking both third line games. And then the way the series played out, we took both second line games, but at least it would have gone ahead and, it would have been a first matchup. And who knows, the first lines never got to play each other. So as much as I was confident in our abilities, and we got some really good players, we got lucky with, random assignments, and they did some good trades and stuff. But I just really think that it was like a cop-out to the rest of their team to go ahead and take your best line and put it versus our third line, which, if anything, was a gimme game, So as much as, everybody tries to win every game they're in. So you got any opinions on that, Brody?
1 sec. To be fair, sorry about that, Brody, but to be fair, Game 2 against their third line, I think we had the cockiest attitude in the world. We go up 2-0. I had a good one hand, and we were, just screaming out of our top of our lungs, yeah, what now, fuck you guys. And then they just kind of, shut us up 3 goals unanswered. And going into Game 6, I was kind of a little nervous I was a little nervous feeling the chokes around. I could kind of feel it in my, stomach area. But once we started playing and we scored 2 goals, I'm like, nah, fuck this. It's over now. You experienced it in Game 2 also. We almost choked that. So it just shows that you're not for sure going to beat their top line just because you feel like that.
Well, but at the same time, though, I think that if I was on the other side and I saw that there was two lines that were undefeated, I would not want to go ahead and put my third line against any of those lines. I mean, that's putting yourself in the hole right from the get-go. So our first line played their third line twice. Their first line played our third line twice. And our second line basically, beat their second line. So, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, the deciding factor was going ahead and, our second line winning. But at the same time, though, I'm a big believer in when you're on the road, you go ahead and put your first out, at least for the first game, just to go ahead and see who they throw out at you. I just don't believe in the whole first lines never matching up against each other in the playoffs. So
that's good to know if I play you in the playoffs this season, guy. Expect
yeah,
the first
just so all of our listeners know here, I have taken ownership of Florida, and Cakes has gone ahead and signed on to be management with Global over in Montreal. So even though it's not official yet for his management, you can basically, it's money in the bank. You can go ahead and count on that. So we are now going from teammates to rivals. So
yeah,
it'll be funny when I go ahead and teabag you all over the ice after I destroy you. Yep. So, Brody or Hones, do you guys have anything to comment on the line matching strategies?
I agree with you. Line matching is everything. That's what kind of happened to us in Minnesota this season, going into the playoffs. I think we picked some shitty line matchups when we could have, dominated on the connections that we had and the guys that we had. But at the end of the day, I do think the decisions that are made for line matching is what makes or breaks series sometimes.
What about you, Hones? You got anything to comment on that or no?
Yeah, I completely agree. When we were facing Bridgeport, we kind of matched it up perfectly how we wanted to, but then even with all your line matching that you do, they took Game 5 on us, which we did not expect, and we had kind of thrown our sack line up for Game 6, and we got fucked by that.
Now that we've kind of gone ahead, and the one thing I will say in closing about the review here of the finals is, a lot of these guys that are, in AHL management, a lot of them, it's their first time getting to this, level in the playoffs, right? So, hopefully, I hope that a lot of people learn lessons from their mistakes and they go ahead and eventually, maybe at some point, some of the people that participated as management in the AHL playoffs might eventually be management in the NHL or owners. I mean, there's a limited amount of spots to fill every season, but that's the whole reason why we play in this league, right, is to go ahead and slowly build our way up to the top of the ladder. So I'm going to go ahead and play this audio here for the awards for the AHL. If it goes ahead and sounds like total asshole, I'm just going to stop it and we'll just go do it the old manual way. So this is the little thing I put together today for the AHL awards. Let's see if Blog Talk Radio is not a vagina.
I keep it player, why some choose to play it safe. But check the rest of me, it's when she uses in the A. I keep it player, why some choose to play it safe. But check the rest of me, it's when she uses in the A.
The wait is over. Your Season 20 LGHL award winners and nominees begins now. Your AHL playoff champions, the Calder Cup winners, the Binghamton Senators. The Richard F. Canny Trophy, awarded to the Eastern Conference playoff champion, is, again, the Binghamton Senators. The Robert W. H. Clark Trophy, awarded to the Western Conference playoff champion, your Chicago Wolves. The McGregor Kilpatrick Trophy, awarding to the club finishing the regular season with the best overall record, is the Syracuse Crunch. The John B. Sollenberger Trophy, who is awarded to the player who leads the league in total points, is Martin Score Easy. The Willie Marshall Award, awarded to the top goal scorer in the AHL regular season, goes to none other, Mr. Curve Shot, Hones Rule. The Harry Happ Holmes Award, which is awarded to the goalkeeper who played a minimum of 25 games and had the fewest goals against, goes to Chosen 1X. the Les Cunningham Award, awarded to the most valuable player. The following are the nominees: Martin Scorsese, Private Killer, Elite Sixes player, L Legacy L. The Eddie Shore Award, awarded to the AHL's Best Defenseman. The nominees are Canuck 515, Dat Wizardly, Matthias, and also Ninja Blade. The Bastion Memorial Award, awarded to the league's top goaltender. The nominees are Mindhunter, Chosen, Useless Goalie, Yeah Boy 414. We will now announce all non-statistical awards along with the Jack A. Butterfield Trophy, awarded to the most valuable player for his team in the playoffs, and the Louis A.R. Perry Memorial Award, which is awarded to the most outstanding GM during the regular season. Again, we call for any award winners to go ahead and call in during the second half of our show and give an acceptance speech.
All right. Let's go ahead and start with the Jack A. Butterfield Trophy here. All right. Go ahead and turn this dumb shit off. All right, the Jack A. Butterfield Trophy, that is awarded to the most valuable player to his team in the playoffs. This is chosen by the GM, but the GM had no say in this because both me and Cakes threatened to not play in the finals if we did not get to sign it ourselves. So, Cakes, why don't you go ahead and say who the Jack A. Butterfield Award winner is?
To be honest, I don't even know what that trophy is. I wasn't listening there for a second. I was reading something.
It's the playoff MVP award, dude.
All right, for the playoff MVP, it's yours truly, Coach Cakes.
And why do you think that you are the most deserving motherfucker in the whole league for this award?
I mean, it's not even just me, and it came down to actually Bars and myself. And I was telling Steeler I needed this or I would definitely kill myself. And he then decided that I needed it enough to give it to me. That was his story. But I felt we played top lines with two really good goalies, so either goalie really, I can't say made, I don't even really know what I'm saying here. But we played the top lines every time, and I honestly felt like I deserved it the best as I didn't lose, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. This is all I got to say, dude. $7.75 million, bro. You give it to the fucking All-Star.
That's what you get. That's what you get. Thank you. Thank you.
You get the MVP, bro, of the playoffs. So, all right, now that Cakes just stroked his own, cock for a little while there. All right. We'll go with the Louis A.R. Perry Memorial Award. This is a award that is awarded to the most outstanding GM during the regular season. And the winner for this award is Colonel 20 and Mindhunter 114. And these guys are the management for the Syracuse Crunch. No, that's not Syracuse Crunch. Who is it? Yes? Is this for the Syracuse Crunch?
I think so.
Yes, sir. That's the Syracuse Crunch management right there.
Oh, okay, all right, thanks. I was having a brain fart. I was trying to do something else. So he's actually going to go ahead and call in a second. I just told him to call, and I believe this is him right here. So let me go ahead and bring him live and see if this is Colonel 20. All right, is this you, Colonel? Colonel, or whatever the hell your name is?
Yeah, it's Colonel.
All right, buddy. You just won the whatever award, the GM award. So
yeah, I don't know the name of it either.
Yeah, so why don't you go ahead and tell us what you think was a big reason for your team having success this season, and what you think is something that you're going to try to do in the future. What did you learn from your management experience this year?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different players that contributed to our success, right? We had a really good group of players because I managed to get a lot of my my friends like that I was playing club with before LG through bidding for pretty much 500K contracts, and they really helped us come together as a team and win through the season. We had a lot of call-ups from Tampa Bay, like Sloshy had kind of a mess going on there, so he had to take quite a few of our roster players, but we managed to come back and get some good random assignments and stuff, and everything just seemed to fall into place, you know, like it's a long season, it's a long 9-week regular season and stuff, so I got to give all my credit to my players. I mean, everyone helped contribute. It was a big team effort in Syracuse for sure.
Now, obviously, heading into the playoffs, you guys were the President Trophies winner in the AHL, whatever that actual trophy is. You guys obviously didn't get as far as you guys wanted to. Everybody shoots for the cup. What do you think that you guys could have done differently to maybe change that outcome in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, we did okay. It's just I think one of the biggest challenges we faced was our availability. We actually had, like, our top line could only play really one night out of the week, so it was, and I mean, I obviously couldn't tell other GMs that at the time, but it was really a headache for me in Linehunter trying to get our line matchups. Like you guys, I was listening earlier, you guys were saying how important line matchups are, and really it make or breaks the series, you know, like, you got to be able to kind of play with that. And, I mean, we had the home ice advantage, yes, but we didn't have the availability at our fingertips like we wanted it. So, in the end, that kind of caused us to have a bad series against you guys in Binghamton. But, I mean, you guys played awesome, too. It could have went either way, really. So.
Yeah, even though we won in 5 games, I think that second game of the series was really the deciding factor. I think that if, you guys would have scored on that penalty shot, definitely would have rattled us as a team, and I think that definitely would have swung the momentum into your guys' favor, and I think it would have changed our line matchups going further along in the series. So I don't think we would have played the same 2 sets of lines would have played for the rest of the series. It would have changed the whole line matchups and the whole gig. So.
Yeah, definitely, man. I agree with you on that fact. I think it was Achilles Strife missed that penalty shot. I was kind of just listening to the boys in the party when it was going on. I didn't play in that game myself, but it seemed like he was he was a bit shook off after the game. He said he should have scored on it or whatever. I didn't actually see it happen, but yeah, one little turn of events like that could have changed everything, right? I mean, it looks on paper like you guys pretty much manhandled us in 5, but I mean, you know, it's not always the case, right? You can't just go by what the series stands at.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, to give credit to the guy who was taking the shot and the goalie that was saving it. He was going for a good move, but to be honest, when we saw Sports go ahead and basically charge out of the net the way he did, I thought that was going to be a goal no matter what. But he ended up just clipping a piece of him, and it was really aggressive. I didn't expect him to do it. I can assure you that Cakes probably didn't expect him to do it, and the shooter obviously didn't expect that to happen at all. So that's a situation where in big-time games, big-time players make, big-time plays, right? So you got any comments on that, Kevin?
Definitely. To be fair, I kind of play some goalie, and I think I haven't poke checked since NHL 13, so I never expected myself. On a penalty shot, I kind of have it in the back of my mind, but usually goalies nowadays seem to, line it up properly and make the save. So when Ye did that, I almost just shut my Xbox off seeing his guy flop because I thought it was over and I was going to rage quit the whole Xbox 360 shit. But he made that save, and, you could just feel we were going to score after that.
All right. Well, we want to keep you on the show here still, but we're going to go ahead and go on to the next set of awards because we are going ahead and got to keep on pace here. So the next set of awards that we want to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and do the Bastion Memorial Award, which is pretty much the AHL Vezina. All right. So the nominees are Mindhunter, and he had a 39-13-3 record with a 79.9 save percentage. Chosen is one of the other nominees with a 31-13-5 record, 77.9 save percentage. Useless Goalie with a 77-2 record with a 78% save percentage. And Yeah Boy 413 with a 36, 11, and 6 save percentage. I'm going to go ahead and go to Hones first. Regardless of the stats, who do you think is the best goalie out of that group that deserves to win the award?
Sorry, I wasn't
Good
listening
talk.
to who was.
All right, you want me to go? All right, we'll go to. What's that?
Who are they again?
It's Mindhunter, Chosen, Useless Goalie, and Yeah Boy 413.
I guess I'll have to go with
All
Chosen.
right. Okie dokie. Good talk. All right, Cakes, what about you? What do you think?
I'm gonna have to go with Mindhunter just because that kind of seems like something that fucks with people's minds when they play him.
I like your train of thought there. All right, Colonel, what do you think? Who's your pick? Just based off of names and that's your regard.
I gotta go with my boy Mindhunter. I gotta go with my boy Mindhunter. I do believe he's one of the best goalies, if not really good season. A whole lot to our.
All right, well.
Wins.
All right, and the award winner for the best goalie in the AHL goes to Mindhunter. He wins the Bastion Award, so that's another award for them to rack up. Now, if Mindhunter does want to call in, I don't know, we might be running a little bit late on time, so we'll try to get as many calls in as possible, but I don't know if we're going to have, we'll wait to the end of the show for that. So, all right, the next award is the Eddie Shore Award, the AHL's version of the Norris. The nominees are Canucks 515. He went 23-3-1. He had 45 points, and he was a plus-minus 64. We have that Wizardry, and he was 21-5-2, 47 points, and his record versus playoff teams was 12-4-2. Matthias, he was 21-1-3. He had 31 points, was a plus 42. Playoff record versus playoff teams 12-1-3. And then we have Ninja Blade, who was 24-2. He had 34 points, was a plus 29. His record versus playoff teams was 14-3-1. I don't know if anybody has any good opinions on these guys. I didn't play long enough in the NHL. I was only there for 2 weeks, so I don't know if anybody.
I would say Suki, ex-Sukio, but he's not on that list, so I'll definitely go with Ninja Blade, because that seems like a cool gamer tag, and I'm 1-0 for the cool gamer tags.
All right, Colonel, you got any opinions on that whole matter?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been playing with Ninja Blades now for 3 seasons in LG. I had him in Drummondville twice, and I got him in Syracuse again. And he's a great defenseman. I'm going to go with him just because I've played with him so much, and he's pretty awesome.
All right. Well, Ninja Blade, even though I do agree he wins the coolest gamer tag, close second goes to that Wizardry. It is Matthias who wins. Matthias is the top AHL defenseman. So he has a 3 and a 5.
Good too.
Yeah, he has a 3 and a 5 in his name. That's why he won, right? So.
I'm not gonna lie, man. Like there's a silent group of AHL people that were submitted, were asked by me personally to give their votes on those awards. So they helped with the nominations and so on and so forth. And when it came down to it, I tallied up all their votes, and it was pretty well a tie between Ninja Blade and Matthias. So I broke the tie on that one, and it was a fucking difficult decision. It took about a half an hour. I pretty much looked at every single game they played, all their stats, and it was pretty much a splitting hair that made that deciding decision. They both are deserving. That both of them could get the award, they both would have, but unfortunately that's not the case.
Yeah, and real quick before we go on to the next award, that's one thing I wanted to mention too. I know there's a lot of people that are going to say, oh, somebody else should have won the so-and-so award or whatever, but Brody put a lot of work into all this. If afterwards, I assume he'll go ahead and post this PM that he sent me with his awards list and stuff. You'll see how he broke down everything. So
the awards lists, like those awards lists that were sent to you, Ergage, they're actually already posted in all the forums. And as much as I'd like to take the credit for that, I didn't think that is all Ran Moran. So at the beginning of the season, I asked for someone's help, someone who knew the game, someone who was well up on like how this stuff works and how the awards should be selected. And all the detail and all the effort that put into all the awards is strictly from Lan Moran, and really can't thank him enough for his contribution for that.
Well, we are lucky to have the fucking robot, so to the robot, we salute you. So, but yeah, it's a lot of work, man. It's as great as the stat system is, right? When you want to get into certain, like, really, really in detail stats, the stats that actually matter to deciding, like, hey, who actually did have a better season and not just had their stats versus, you know, a bunch of shitty teams, that takes a lot of man hours, right? And everybody involved in ownership and management, they all put a lot of hours in that the average player who wants to go ahead and, you know, troll bad owners and stuff does not realize. You know, there's a lot more effort that goes into it than they think. So, all right, moving on now. The Les Cunningham Award. This is the award for the most valuable player in the league. The nominees: Martin Scorsese. He was 23-2-1. He had 138 points, total domination. We got Private Killer, who was on Wilkes-Barre. He was 25-3. He had 123 points. He also had some second tags helping him out along the way, but we won't mention that. Elite Sixes player. He was 22-6. He had 118 points. We also have Legacy. He was 21-7 with 131 points. So out of these four guys, Holmes, who do you think is the most deserving of the MVP of the AHL?
I gotta go with my boy PVT.
All right, Case, what's your opinion on this?
I'm gonna go with PVT simply because he did not lose to a non-playoff team, and he only has 3 losses in total. So I feel like he deserves it more than anyone.
All right, Colonel, what about you? What's your opinion on it?
I'm gonna go with PVT as well. I played a couple games against him in the season, and I've played against him in clubs loads of times. He's a really great player. He deserves it for sure.
All right, well, the winner goes to Martin Scorsese. He is the upset. He is the one who wins. He's the one who has the most points. 15-1-1 versus playoff teams. That's pretty elite.
Oh wow.
Yep. So you got to give it to the guy
his record.
I know. Well, when you're dyslexic, you know, it is what it is. So. But any thoughts on that, you guys? I mean, I haven't. Go ahead.
The voting for that too was extremely close. Like it was back and forth. Yeah, I think it was like one vote is what decided on him winning over Private. All the players that were nominated though were pretty elite players. Like you can't argue the fact that if Legacy wasn't on the Phantoms, they would have never made the headway they made. Same with the Elite Sixes. He was pretty wicked too when he was on Hamilton. So all those guys played a huge factor in their team's success. But obviously Martin, I think, played the bigger factor, and that's why he was the winner of the award.
Yeah, I think one thing that's kind of important too to realize is that, you know, it's kind of hard without watching all the games, and not all the games are streamed. Like, we have an awesome, you know, streaming system for the site and stuff. But you also have to go ahead and take into consideration who people are playing with, right? So I'm not exactly sure what the line combinations normally were in Wilkes-Barre, but I think Private Killer played with Mike Sig a lot of the times too. So Private Killer's a great player, but, you know, I don't know who everybody's line mates were. Maybe Hones can kind of fill us in on this, but. Or maybe not.
God. All throughout the season.
Yeah. But, all right, so let's go ahead and keep on moving on so we don't go ahead and get stuck on time. That's all the awards for the AHL. Real quick, we'll go ahead and start with Brody. Is there anything that you wanted to say in closing about the AHL awards and the run to the finals?
I don't know. I think the playoffs were pretty excellent for the AHL this season. Like you said, some upsets, some things that were shocking. The awards as well were super close voting. Like all those players that were even nominated for the awards, like were all really, really deserving. You're pretty well splitting hairs on deciding who's going to win and who's not going to win. So overall, I think it was another pretty successful season in the AHL, and with some rule changes and some restrictions, I'm looking forward to another exciting season in the AHL next year.
All right, Cakes, you got any closing comments for the AHL?
It was a great experience for myself, and I enjoyed it a lot. my team again for winning that. And if I could give an award out for cutest puppy ever, it would go to Sports Fanatics Gino, because it is like the best thing ever, and he is like a devil's dog, and he causes a lot of chaos, and it's awesome.
All right, Holmes Rule, you got any closing comments?
Not really.
Okay, good talk. Colonel, you got any closing comments at all?
Sure. I'd say everything went really well. This AHL season was a lot of fun, and it was a pleasure to manage with most of my rivals, I guess. There was a few guys who weren't so great, thank the God. But, other than that, everything was pretty good.
Yeah, and that's one thing, too. We did try to contact Dink and try to get him on the show. I know he tried to, private chat me last night, but I was busy doing something. So, Dink, if you are still there and you do want to call in, we can make that happen the last couple minutes of the show, and we can chirp the shit out of each other. So, but we have to go ahead and move on to the NHL Awards show now. I was going to go ahead and play some music and let us have a little break here so we can go, potty and all that stuff. I'm going to try to play this music. It might sound like shit. I'm going to try to adjust the audio, but this blog talk sucks really bad.
5 minute break?
Yeah, 5 minutes, 36 seconds, guys. So get a beer. I got 4 of them lined up here for me. I'm going to have a smoke and take a little potty break. So we'll be back in 5 minutes, guys. All right, guys, we're back. We're here. We still can't get Boz and the gang back on the show here. So we'll go ahead and just keep on going. I don't know what exactly the problem is, but we'll figure it out here. Somebody's buzzing for some reason. I don't know what that is either. All right, is everybody back? Yeah, we can hear you guys.
I had to turn my phone on silent.
Yep. All right. Alrighty here. So now that we've gone ahead and gone over the AHL stuff, we'll go ahead and try to see if we can get Crash or anybody from New Jersey and Winnipeg to go ahead and get in on the air here. But let's go ahead and review a little bit of what happened in the NHL playoffs here. First thing I want to talk about is, just like we did before, I want to talk about who do you think the biggest upsets were and who do you think the biggest disappointments were. I'll go ahead and go first. To me, I think the biggest surprise for everybody was obviously Pittsburgh. I know that, Pan's a good guy and everything, but I don't think anybody expected them to go ahead and make it to the Eastern Finals and take it to Game 7. For me, my biggest disappointment, I would say, is Ottawa. Obviously, they had a lot of big names on forward. I know a little bit about that series. I played in the game where we got eliminated, so I'm one of the noobs that contributed to us losing. Cakes, what do you think are the biggest surprises and the biggest disappointments for you in the NHL playoffs? If you're still there, which I don't think you are. Cakes, you there? All right, I guess Case isn't there. Brody, what about you? Are you, what's your...
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm here. I'm going to think here. Shockers of the playoffs. I don't know. I'd probably say Ottawa's a good pick. They have a really good team. I thought they would be better than they did. I also think that, I don't know, I thought Edmonton was going to win it all. I played them at the beginning of the season and stuff, and so I don't know. I think Ottawa was a fair bet. As for surprises and stuff, I definitely have to say that Chicago was a hell of a surprise. They had a pretty good start to the end of the year, and they took Winnipeg to 7 games and almost beat them. So that's pretty impressive too. So maybe probably Winnipeg too. Winnipeg going through the teams they went through on the way to the Cup is pretty impressive too. They played Game 7 in every series except the finals, and they beat some pretty talented teams. So. But I definitely think what Chicago accomplished in that round was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Hans Rule, what do you think about the whole NHL playoffs?
Hello.
I shouldn't have been NHL playoffs at all.
Yo, Jurgen.
Okay. Oh, okay. Who's that? Who's talking right now?
Cakes. Hi.
Oh, okay.
My phone's being all stupid. The biggest
All right.
surprise for me would definitely be Winnipeg and then Pittsburgh. And biggest disappointment would definitely be Ottawa, like you said. And I think when you played, they asked me and I was gone or something. And then they're like, no worries, Cakes, I got it. And, I believed in you and you failed us. I could have won a cup and a Calder this season.
Yeah, that's very true. But at the same time, though, I know that Devin's strategy was to go ahead and pretty much, put two real strong lines out for his team. But in that elimination game, we had 3 ECUs from the AHL. So both both the defensemen were AHL ECUs, and even though it was Frazier and I believe it was Suki or Frazier and Chinzo, and they're pretty good AHL defensemen. They're obviously got NHL caliber talent. But at the same time, though, I think that when you go ahead and build a team and you're having to use as many ECUs as you are in the playoffs, yeah, those guys that you picked up might have talent, but if people don't show up, there was numerous playoff series this whole NHL playoffs where guys did not show up and teams got eliminated because of it. I know one of the big other stories was, I believe in the finals round, that Pittsburgh had a lot of problems getting their guys to show up, and it screwed up their availability, and they basically, blamed that somewhat on their loss. So, that's pretty much what my take on it is. You got anything else to add to it, Cakes, at all, or?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Now, obviously, I asked a bunch of people to come on here. I asked Drizzy to come on. I asked Puzzle to come on. I asked Lou to come on. I know it is Friday night, and some of them kind of backed out because they had other stuff going on, and I kind of got a little busy doing some stuff, and I didn't really PM people as much as I wanted to beforehand. I was trying to get that audio stuff done, and then I had Blog Talk Radio go ahead and just decide that it wanted to make it sound like shit anyways, so my efforts were kind of fruitless. But if there is anybody from any of these playoff series that does want to call in, go ahead and call in right now. I'm going to go ahead and post the number one more time. I can see you calling in. Hopefully not everybody's having the problem where they cannot get through. It's ringing busy. There's only 4 callers connected right now, so we should have plenty of open spaces to go ahead and have callers come in. But I want to go ahead and talk about the two teams that made it to the finals, right? The first team. Yeah, Zach, you got something to say?
Yeah, I mean, you guys totally forget about me. I'm here. I want to give my surprise.
All right, what's your surprise there, buddy?
To be honest with you, I know it's going to shock a few people, but I'm going to go with the Jets because in my eyes, in a lot of people's eyes, I thought that the Oilers were going to come out of the West into the finals, and obviously they beat them in 7. And then to come into the finals and beat the President's Trophy winners in 6 is just an unbelievable feat, and I didn't think they were going to pull it off, but they did, and we have a Stanley Cup Finals winner in the Jets, so that's my surprise.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and give a little bit of rebuttal there. Even though the Devils were the President's Trophy winner, I think that being the President's Trophy winner, having the most points, yeah, that goes ahead and gets you to the big show, right? But at the same time, though, winning games in the regular season is totally different from matching up with another team in 7 games.
Right.
And if you go ahead and look at Winnipeg's roster, Winnipeg's defense, I believe, was far superior. I believe that they were stacked more towards their top 2 lines. And I think at the same time that even though they went ahead and had to go into a Game 7 every series, so they definitely earned their way to the Stanley Cup Finals. I believe a lot of that is due to the fact that, their third line was getting sack matchups. They had Leafy in net with the third line. That doesn't obviously help. But real quick, I'm going to go ahead and stop for a second. We got a couple of callers. Let me see who this first caller is. Area code 954, you're on the air. Who is this?
This is Global.
Global. What's up, Global? How you doing? My buddy
I'm
from
doing
Florida.
all right. Yep.
All right.
Floridian.
Yep, exactly. We're few and far between, right? I think there's like 5 people in the whole state that follow hockey. So, I saw somebody else call in too, so whoever did just call in, you can go ahead and call back in too. I will too. But all right, Global, we're talking about the NHL playoffs here. Who was your biggest upset? Who was your biggest disappointment?
I mean, I feel like I'm gonna go in line with you guys. I thought of all the teams in the East that I was most afraid to play was Ottawa. I mean, there's so much firepower there, so many good forwards. I also thought that the Eastern teams were better than the West, but I guess I was wrong. So I guess Ottawa was my disappointment. Also, sort of the Islanders. Of the two teams in the East that I was afraid of, I thought Ottawa and the Islanders were the two, and they both got knocked out in the first round. I mean, the Devils were good too, and Pittsburgh was good, but yeah. So I guess Ottawa, and I wasn't sure how good the teams in the West were. I mean, I knew Winnipeg and Edmonton looked good on paper, but there were so many bad teams, so you just didn't really know. But yeah.
All right. Obviously, why don't you take us a little bit through your playoff series? You guys ended up winning easily in the first round of Buffalo, and then you guys ended up facing Pittsburgh, who for a lot of people was a surprise making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. What do you think you guys did right in the series, and what do you guys think you did wrong in that series? Why do you think you guys didn't advance?
Well, the first series, our second line, which was Jay Rules, Williams, and Reimers, ended up beating the top line, that RJ and Habs line, and that sort of set the series in our favor, because after Game 4, they had their third line and first line against our third line and first line. So we got to line match, and you know how line matching is huge, and they threw their third line out first, so we put in Gerby, and they finished that. So it could have been 6 games, but that Game 1 sort of set the series in our favor. And then the second series, Pittsburgh was good, and we went down to Game 7, double overtime. It could have gone either way. We were up 3-1 in that series, and we just couldn't close it. And yeah, I mean, were they up 3-1 against New Jersey? Also, they almost got to the Cup. So, I mean, I was happy with the way it went. Hats off to them, but I was happy with the way the season went, and I was happy with my team. So all right, almost got there.
I got a big question for you here, okay? And this might be a little bit of a loaded question. You can answer it the way that you want to, right? Obviously, whenever a series goes to a Game 7, right, that is where it's ultimately best 6 versus best 6, okay? Now, yep. I know that not everybody can keep every player under contract, right? So, granted, things might change. There's bidding, there's the draft, there's trades, all that stuff. Were you comfortable with your Game 7 lineup, or do you think that next season your Game 7 lineup's going to be a little bit different? Is there any changes in play style you think that you're going to make? Like, what do you think contributed, what do you think you can change to go ahead and try to give you a better outcome next time around?
I had a really tough decision. For us, on D, Demers was our lefty, and myself and Hubert were right D. I wasn't available to play that night, so that was a no-brainer. I mean, obviously I could nitpick and say, oh, we lost, so I should have played, but Hubert's a great D-man. Demers was great. I was happy with that. As far as the forwards go, Gerby was our number one center, and Fred and him, Marcotte, always played together. But until that game in the playoffs, they had been playing with Prodigy, who was a great, the best thing that Maverick gave me. He's a first-line caliber left winger for $500K. They had been winning games together, and we were just going back and forth on whether to put him in or the chemistry with Brad. He hadn't had the greatest availability, so we had to mix it up. But they were winning games, and so I guess I probably would have gone the same way with the chemistry in the Game 7. That was all season long. My Game 7 line was those three. So who knows? Would we have won if Prodigy was in there? Maybe. They played their first line head to head, and we won in overtime. And I think it was Game 4. And but yeah, I mean, it's tough. They had a good 6, we had a good 6, and I think we were up 2-0 in the third too, and they came back and scored. So it was all sorts of comebacks in that series for Pittsburgh, and they did great.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, right? Like, I don't think anybody can get upset when you lose a series in 7. That meant that both teams, were able to win a series, a set of games, and it really came down to, you can always say what if, but at the same time, I'd rather lose in a game 7 than, obviously mess up early in the matchup and in the series, and then go ahead and get put out in 5 or 6 because of, we just had availability or made a mistake on a line matchup and stuff like that. So like you said, it would have been nice to play, and your availability didn't allow you to. But obviously, you guys got put out by Pittsburgh, and then Pittsburgh had the same thing happen to them in the next round, right? So you can at least take a little bit of pride in saying that, hey, they got the same feeling you did, which is it sucks, but hey, at least you guys had a successful season, right? So, all right, now real quick, we got. Sean's on the line here, Mr. 508 area code. What's up, Sean? What's on your mind?
What's up, guys? How are you guys?
Oh, Sean.
What's up, JP?
Sean, okay, perfect. Now we can talk about Game 7 matchups now that Sean's on here because he had a pretty terrible one. That's why we lost to Winnipeg.
The man, the myth, the legend.
We did have a pretty terrible Game 7 lineup. I'm not gonna point blame.
This is how he's gonna throw Figs under the bus right here.
I'm not gonna point blame.
Now, I would like to question
looking back, let me just answer this real quick. Looking back, I would do things differently.
Now,
that's the best answer I'll give you.
Sean, is it true that you didn't want to play the Game 7?
Yeah, it is very true.
Okay. Why did you put yourself in that situation if you felt you shouldn't have been in there? I don't want to be bashing anyone. I just kind of want to know, I think a lot of people are asking that.
I think that the point is that Dumba was in there because Dumba earned it. And I felt that, once the decision was made to put me in the game, that I had the best chemistry with Dumba because we've pretty much played all season together. So at the same time, I felt that, if we were going to have a chance to win, why not put me in there to have the chemistry on D like we had? I don't think the defense cost us that game.
If you had to change anything of that line, what would you change in that line?
I'd move the person who plays center to right wing and bring a different center in.
Would you change it just that? Just change that?
Yeah, because I mean, knowing how the game went, I don't think it played into it. If I was to look back on it, it probably would have been Dumba and Hypnotic. I know that other people think somebody else should have played left D, but I think that Dumba was with the team the entire season and he earned the game. Dumba's a great defenseman.
I mean, I was in your shoes too before, Sean, with a tough decision for Game 7 2 seasons ago when we lost to LA in 7. A lot of people ask me why I didn't play myself or Korea and put Jake in. Sup, I'm gay, but now is I think proud gay dad or something like that. And the same reason what you just said, the chemistry so well between Jake and FSU that I couldn't put anyone else in that game. And just like you couldn't, change up the D pair with you and Dumba because you guys were pretty solid all year. And Dumba's a really good D-man. So, I mean, having him in Game 7, you played pretty well all year. I'm giving you credit because, a lot of people had you, just get in the bed, and you showed a lot of people, you can own a team and bring them to the playoffs at least.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
I do agree. The only change that I would have made for that Game 7 would have been Dutch at center and Figs on the wing. Figs is such a talented player, but he plays so offensive that at least if we had a decent centerman playing center, then we can just let Figs play as offensive as he wants, especially against Odie. Like, Odie already fucking put Figs on the island for one game in that series, so the least we could have did was just have a defensive centerman, play our zone well, and just let Figs hang if he wanted to hang or do whatever he wanted to do with the puck, and that would have probably gave us the best chance to win that game. We have already been one of the best goalies in the league on our team. You and Dumba played well, and I do agree that you guys did play well. I do like Hypnotic, I do like Ahern, but chemistry can't lie. And Grimm's kind of a no-brainer on left wing, so The only change that I would have saw for that Game 7 would have saw Dutch at center, because Dutch was the best center we had.
Yeah, that's if I had to do it all over again, I would force that change.
Definitely would put Figs at right wing over anyone on your team. Also, I played with Figs in a pro series, and he was like, no offense to Figs, but his game drops tremendously into the middle, other than playing on the right wing. And if Odie put him on an island pretty much all series, I would have definitely put him on the right side where Odie is nowhere close to him. He is safe from Odie until you get into the zone and start wiggling around. But I mean, you did a good job, Sean, and a lot of people aren't going to give you that, but you know, you did a good job, and you deserve the credit where it's at.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, now real quick here, I got a question for you, Sean, right? So obviously you had your playoff experience, you know what I mean? You guys had a, Game 7 loss, which is obviously tough. You are now taking over the reins. You are accepting the Jack Adams if Figs wins it. You are... what do you think do you have a change in philosophy that you're going to try to do for next season? Obviously, your whole team's not returning. That just doesn't happen anymore. You only got 8 contract years to give out. What do you think that you're going to, what experiences are you going to take, and what experiences are you going to learn from, and what is your kind of, direction going towards the next season?
I would say that if you look at a lot of the rosters, our roster probably has the most returning players on it. When we made trades that a lot of people had 2-year contracts. So all but one defenseman is returning. We have our starting goalie returning. We have Chumlee returning. We have Figueroa returning. Grimm has decided to be an RFA and is switching to defense. So unsure what we're going to do there. We may match it, may not. We'll have to wait and see. And then we have a re-sign that we're unsure 100% on what we're going to do. We know what we're leaning towards. And then just, I've got a good GM. I've already picked him. I'll announce it. It's Dayman. Dayman531 will be the GM for Minnesota. I think it's a good choice. He's proven to do a lot of work thus far early in the off season. And I just feel that, going after key players and bidding and just, proving what I did last year, proving what the team did last year, and just getting people to be on board is huge.
All right, Cakes, you got anything to add to that?
How do you feel about having Damon as your GM? I mean, I play club with him all the time, and he's a really good guy. So how excited are you to have such a well-respected guy?
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked that he joined on. I wasn't sure if he would. Yeah, it would definitely help. Brody gave me the name, and I sent a few messages out. I obviously asked you, Cakes, but you had already committed to Global. So yeah, I'm happy to get a top player on board. It shows good things for the organization. So.
And I'm pretty sure he's well respected with like Dutch and all them too. So I mean, it does help with you as he pretty much helped Smitty a lot in that Ranger. So I mean, good guy, and that's definitely a good pickup. And I told him, hey, Sean's a good guy and all. It's a good pickup for both of you guys.
All right, now since we kind of touched on the subject, I want to go ahead and change gears just a little bit since we're already on the subject. Obviously, it's important for new owners, and not to say you're like directly new to the NHL or anything, Sean. But how important do you think it is for to go ahead and get that top quality player, a respected player? I mean, not necessarily the guy who's going to be the workhorse as far as the administrative work, but the guy who can kind of give the respect and the face to the franchise. I'll go ahead and let Sean go first.
I think it's huge. Last season, we started off with Darso as owner and myself as GM. Our first pickup was Figs in bidding. If we didn't get Figs to be on board, we would not have had the season that we had. Figs' name is huge. When Darso had to leave because of a job, and I feel that maybe his interest wasn't 100% in it, Figs took over, and with having Figs as the leader, it balanced everything out where people felt, all right, well, if Figs is here, then I'll give it a shot. And then we got a bunch of people to be on board, and that's basically what gave us the deep run in the playoffs.
All right, Global, you obviously got my buddy Cakes as the GM, and of course, I don't know how good he is. All I know is he's a $7.75 million AHL noob. What's your opinion on making sure you get a decent guy with the buttons and management?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I didn't have the opportunity to pick my own GM last year. Nothing against Williams. He's great, and he did a great job this season. But, Jay was sort of my GM this year. So I wanted to get someone that had the responsibility, who had done it in the past, who, was good, that could play first, second, third line, and, most importantly, had a positive attitude, which Cakes usually does. and he's good buddies with a lot of the guys that I already had on my team. So he just fit in, and I'm happy that he wanted to come on board. But it's huge having big name guys coming in when you have a NHL full of big name guys that only want to play with big name guys, and trying to avoid the guys that'll request trades, and you want guys that are happy on your team and have good availability. But Cake seems to be one of the guys around the league that everybody likes. So that was huge.
Stroke me off some more, why don't you?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and comment on that a little bit too. I ended up picking James as my GM, and James has been my buddy since back in the VHL when I had Minnesota. James was on my team, and season 17, he was involved, and I put him together with the other Frenchies, Pills and J-Love and all those guys. So it's very, very big to have not only a big name. Everybody wants to see that $7 million guy take a GM spot, right? But at the same time, though, I don't think that the salary, like having a high salary guy, is the only requirement. I think that it's very important to have somebody that, A, wants to be there, wants to be a part of management, because at the end of the day, if you're not winning, it's not really that fun. It gets to be a job, right? So I think a lot of guys, they just want to go ahead and try, especially the newer owners, they try to attract like whoever they can get, right? And it's one of those situations where I think sometimes, especially for the new owners, I think it might be better off to go ahead and take maybe the guy who isn't the $7 million forward or whatnot, and to take a little bit lesser skilled guy and, trying to go ahead and somebody that's actually going to put in the work, not just going to go ahead and take a GM spot somewhere because, they just don't want to be in bidding for like $8 million. So, Brody, real quick, what's your thoughts kind of so far on some of the newer owners? I don't know, have they been having any problems finding management, or what's your scoop on it?
The owner selections for the season coming up is probably, in the past couple of years, probably the best group of guys I've ever picked when it comes to just quality of people, skill-wise, experience. Even the newer guys that are kind of thrown into the mix, they're all great guys, and they're all gonna be successful. Unfortunately, I kind of agree with what you're saying about having a skilled player be the guy as your GM. Like, it sucks that that's the way the league is, and it kind of pulls away from the potential of other great guys out there just because they're not as good at the game as others. But so far there's been no real issues with people finding management. No one's really come to me and said, "Hey man, I'm having troubles with this, having troubles with that." But that being said, too, it is pretty early. I think majority of those guys have their management already selected. They're just waiting for me to open up the trading window or the contract window. So far so good. But I'm really, really happy with the 30 guys that are picked this season. I think they're all going to do a great job, and I'm looking forward for next season to start for sure.
Yeah, now what about the CHL GM selection?
The CHL guys? Oh man, that was probably the most fun I've had in a while too. Like, the stuff coming from the CHL guys so far. Can you hear me? Are we good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the guys that were selected for CHL are pretty wicked too, just because they're all caring. They all want to be there. They're excited. It's a new opportunity for them, and that's what's pretty awesome in my opinion. I like to see those guys that want to be here and want to be part of it, and that's what's huge for me.
Now, real quick, I got one more thing for you. I got one more thing for you, Brody, here. Now, I don't know. I know you were saying it earlier. I don't know if this is still true or not. Do you know if Playmaker is taking management still with E-Rice, or?
Last that I heard, I am pretty sure Playmaker is going to be the GM for Boston next season.
All right. Now, the one thing I want to comment on that is, I know obviously they hold the number 2 overall pick right now. They didn't go to where they wanted to be at. or whatnot. But at the same time, like Sean was saying, when they got Figs several seasons ago, Figs then became part of the management team, and it went ahead and lent credibility to the organization. So one thing I do want to say is, obviously there's always going to be teams that don't make the playoffs and teams that do. I mean, half the teams will miss the playoffs. That will never change. But at the same time, though, I still think that if you do have a bad season and there is a guy who gets saddled with a high contract, instead of going ahead and hopefully with this season with the new trade request system and not having the guys on 1-year deals being able to instantly send trades, and 33% of the league sends a trade request by like 2 weeks out from the deadline. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But I think that some of these teams that maybe if you don't go ahead and make the playoffs, you try to get, at least in your first year, these new owners, you try to establish an identity, right? You try to get a couple of contracts that you want to keep for multiple years, guys that you want to build a core around. And I think that you try to go ahead and maybe not in your first season you can't do it, but in your second season, you try to get established enough to where you get that big name management, right? To where you get that credibility to the franchise. It's almost like the Florida Panthers in real life. They went ahead and traded again for Luongo. They showed the other players on the league that they're willing to spend money to go ahead and get a big name, right? So, what's your thought on that, Brody?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I hate the way that it is because it really dictates and it really limits who I can select for owner because of this stuff. It's kind of a shitty culture that we have. Unless, I have a guy who comes to me who's a fucking all-star player and just wants to be an owner, because at least I know right off the bat he's respected enough as a player that they tend to be more successful, right?
Somebody needs to turn off whatever the hell they're doing here. All right, thank you.
So yeah, I think like looking at what the season that Boston had last year and the struggles that E-Royce had, and even Odyssey was their AGM. Him and I go back for a while, and they're one of those teams that just got fucking crippled by trade requests. They're one of the teams that I was like, we got to make some changes to help guys like this. But I honestly think that like if Playmaker is going to stay on board with E-Rice, that could be enough to turn that season around. They can bring in some players, and it can be completely different for Boston altogether. It's like I said, it's extremely unfortunate that that's kind of the way it is. But at the same time, it's there's lots of opportunities coming, and it's nice to see like the good, talented players who can make a difference like this, step into roles and help out. Like it was nice to see Figs stick it out last year with Minnesota and help Minnesota get as far as they got, and it'll be nice to see Playmaker do the exact same thing next season as well.
Well, and that's the whole thing too. Like you said, the culture kind of sucks to where the fact it's like, okay, well, if you don't have a big name, then nobody's gonna want to take you seriously and all that stuff. But at the same time, I do want to go ahead and give a big shout out to all the big name guys who all their friends are telling them, man, you need to fucking hit the eject button, right, and just get the fuck out of Dodge. But they do stick around. They don't want to be a $9 million player hampering their roster and making it hard for their team to be competitive. So even though they're maybe not the most driven guys for management, because of their situation with their player skill, because of their situation with their gigantic contract, and they know that if they are a rostered, a salary player, it's going to be hard for their team to be competitive. Because yes, they're good, but they might not necessarily be $9 million good. That's like almost a third of your salary cap, So unless you're winning every single game and you go undefeated, that's still hard to justify one player being that much money, right? So I think it's important, like you said, the culture sucks, and there's a lot of other guys who might not be as talented at the buttons, but at least, some of these more expensive players, higher, button skill players, can put their work into the league and give their effort back and try to help the league out from a management point of view, too, because at the end of the day, it just makes the whole league more competitive, right? So, but anyways, we've gotten on a tangent a little bit here, right? So let's go ahead and keep on going back to the finals here. Obviously, both series in the East and the West went to a Game 7. We have Winnipeg and the Devils as the two teams that met. Now, real quick, I just want to ask a couple of you guys, did you guys both think that the Devils and Winnipeg was going to make it? What do you think, Global? Do you think that both those teams were going to make it, or were you expecting one of Pittsburgh or the Oilers to make it to the finals?
Throughout the, right after bidding, I thought Edmonton was the strongest of all the teams. I thought they had their whole Winnipeg roster from last season. They had a lot of steals of contracts. They almost made it when they had Game 7, and they were almost there. And New Jersey, I thought New Jersey was pretty strong too. But like I said originally, I thought Ottawa and the Islanders were the two picks for me out of the East. They both lost in the first round, so all the teams in the playoffs were good. So really, anyone could have won.
All right, I'm going to go to Sean here. What's your opinion? Do you think that those were the two teams that were going to come out of the two East and Western Conference final games? And then after that, we'll go ahead and get on to the awards, what everybody's been waiting for.
I thought New Jersey would have come out, but I definitely thought Edmonton was definitely going to come out with their powerhouse offense. But clearly, offense doesn't win every game, and having the powerhouse defense is what did it for Winnipeg.
All right. Now that we've all had our chance to voice our opinions, let's go ahead and give the people what they want, right? I'm going to go ahead and ditch this. Actually, I'm going to try this audio. I think it's only coming in like shit on on our cell phones here. I think actually, because when I listened to it before, it was coming in half decent on these things. So I'm going to go ahead and play my little thing I spent all my time working on today, boys. So.
Do not adjust your radio. This is the moment you have been waiting for. Your Season 20 LGHL Award Show, hosted by Yargage QC and I Beat Up Cakes, is going live. Season 20 playoff champions, the hoisters of Lord Stanley's Cup, your Winnipeg Jets. The Prince of Wales Trophy winner, representing the Eastern Conference, the New Jersey Devils. The Clarence S. Campbell Trophy winners, awarded to the Western Conference playoff champions and the Stanley Cup winners, the Winnipeg Jets. The President's Trophy winner, awarded to the team with the most points in the regular season, the New Jersey Devils. The Art Ross Trophy, awarded to the player who leads the league in total points during the regular season, Briere L48L. The Maurice Rocket Richard Award winner, your man, Mr. I Hit Up and Get Rewarded, Figs 42. The NHL Plus Minus Award winner, none other than Shredda BL56L. The Williams M. Jennings Award winners. This award is awarded to the goalkeepers who have played a minimum of 25 games and had the fewest goals against in the regular season. Rob Crafted Jr. and Billy Gilly. And now, the awards we really care about, the non-statistical awards for Season 20 nominees. The Hart Memorial Trophy nominees: GB 521, Exo Playmaker OX, aka Freak on the Six, CJ 142, Bradley, the James Norris Memorial Trophy nominees awarded to the best defenseman in the NHL. L. Gandhi, Foot A, X. Odie, XX Terry Tor XX. The Vezina Trophy nominees for Season 20: Rowski L5L, Kopitar, Rob Crafted Jr., Stamtos. The Frank J. Selke Trophy nominees awarded to the forward who excels in the defensive aspects of the game above everybody else. And the nominees are Nuke Bomb 81, GB 51, Oven Mitts 19, and Sticky Marmalade. The Lady Bing Memorial Trophy nominees are The Tight Flip, Nuke Bomb 81, X Rock Bomber 21X, L. Gandhi. The Calder Memorial Trophy, the Conn Smythe Trophy, and the Jack Adams Award will all be announced live.
All right, guys. We'll go ahead and start in reverse order here. First award we're going to go ahead and announce, the Jack Adams. I want to get opinions from a couple of you guys here. We don't have any nominees. We just have the fucking winner, right? So, Global, if you had to pick right now who your Jack Adams winner was, who would it be?
I would probably say Bryson. I love the way he put his team together. They did so well with, a lot of cap space after the draft. I just love the way the Islanders were put together. So I didn't really think about it, but I mean, just off the top of my head, I thought he did pretty well.
All right. Sean, since you can't nominate yourself for the award, who do you think should win the Jack Adams this year?
Who I think will win it and who should win it are probably two different things. I would love Figs to get it, but I bet you it's probably going to be Sticky Marmalade. First season as owner and winning the Stanley Cup is pretty big.
All right, Kate, who do you think is the Jack Adams Award winner in your mind and your heart?
I'm going to go with Panda, and no one's going to say this, so I'll go with him just because his name's weird. And also, he brought that team pretty well. Like, that team, I don't think a lot of people thought would be as good as they were this season, so I'll give it to him. And he had a good AHL, too.
All right, your Season 20 Jack Adams Award winner is none other than Kopitar. He went ahead and won the Stanley Cup last season, went ahead and proved that he could make it all the way back to the finals again this year. Want to go ahead and give congratulations out to him. Brody, do you have anything to comment on that?
Yeah, this is one of the few awards I actually just handpicked myself. Panda did have a hell of a season. He shocked many, but I don't know. Pittsburgh did exactly what I expected him to this year, and it was nice to see Wilkes-Barre win. So I definitely shout out to Panda. Like, he definitely would be on the nomination list. Breezan's such a great guy as well. So like what Global said, I agree 100% that Breezan having a good AHL team and being a good owner himself in his first season is definitely really good. So Kopitar definitely was deserving. Albany was an incredible team in the AHL, and for them to win the NHL and go right to the finals again is quite a feat for them, and quite a feat for him. And it's unfortunate he's not actually returning next season too. He's taking the season off, and Stick is stepping up as the new owner of New Jersey.
All right, Kate, your thoughts?
I have OCD, so I need to.
Oh, go ahead.
I have
OCD.
Jack. I have OCD, so I need to say something. Isn't it season 19 awards or 20?
Yeah, Jurgen, you're a little off with everything.
Yeah, I've been up for like 30 hours, man. That's on me. I literally did all this stuff like 10 minutes, or like, I don't know. Yeah, anyways.
No, you're doing a great job, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, but thanks for pointing me out. I am a noob.
Yeah, he just basically said you're shit in the bed.
Yeah, that's true. I shit the bed. I peed the bed until I was like 15 years old, right? Not really, but yeah. So
that's right. Sean said.
All right, yeah, Case, what's your thoughts on the Jack Adams Kopitar taking it home again?
No disrespect to Kopitar, but I thought Stick was the owner, so I didn't want to say Kopitar at first and sound stupid. So I went with Panda because I kind of knew he was an owner. But he took us out last year and he got it too. So I mean, he's a well-deserving guy. He's a really good owner. He took over for you when you died also. So I mean, big shout out to him. Big shout out.
All right. Real quick. Boz, are you on the line finally? Did we finally get you on?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, buddy. God, look at that. The stars have aligned. Mr. Stanley Cup himself has arrived. I'd like to introduce Boz, a.k.a. Sticky Marmalade, a.k.a. I Win Games. So, all right. Real quick, we're doing the awards here, but we're going to backtrack for a second since we didn't have a chance to talk to you earlier. Real quick. What do you go ahead and contribute to your success this season? And what did you learn from this playoff experience and winning the Stanley Cup this year?
Success-wise, I just basically climbed into Odie's backpack, or I hung out with Jemima. So I put all my success on them too. Learning-wise, I figured out how to run a team, I guess. I mean, I hadn't done it before on this league, or only a small league prior, but I came over from BOG and stuff worked, so.
All right. Well, we all want to thank you for obviously going ahead and doing nothing but winning Game 7s. We would have liked to have seen you guys take it to another Game 7, but real quick, jumping back to your guys' playoff series, one of the things I did notice is that New Jersey obviously had their West Coast host line with Crash and Willard. GG Crash, good job talking a bunch of shit and then losing twice, I think you did. So, once you guys were able to defeat those lines to take the early lead, what do you think the main thing that you guys had to accomplish to take the series home was?
Well, the funny thing about that is they actually lost on their own host and then beat us on our Eastern host. So, I don't know if we blame Toast for that or what, but Crash scored 2 goals in that game and won it 2-0. But other than that, I mean, I thought we had the best Game 7 line and like one of the best top 5 players. So it was just a matter of matching our best against their best, and I think we showed we were better, I guess. I don't know.
So, all right, well, that's good. Obviously, we all want to thank you for shutting Crash up, even though, I mean, I think he gets a lot of, unneeded shit. I mean, he is a good player, even though he did, have his AHL roots and all that stuff. But sometimes I think he needs to learn just to keep his mouth shut. And I know there was a little bit of drama about some, subs and stuff in the finals, and I don't want to get into that. I think it's kind of irrelevant. But let's go ahead and keep on going on with the awards, because we are going ahead and getting a little bit behind here. So next award I want to go ahead and get to is the Conn Smythe Trophy, which is awarded to the most valuable player to his team in the playoffs. It is selected by the owner of the winning team Boz, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Well, this was a kind of a hard choice, I guess. There's a couple guys that could have won it on our team. But looking at the stats, there's really only one guy that can deserve it. So we're giving it to Odie this season. I think he was 11-0. He played all three game sevens that we played and won them all, of course. He won every game, actually, and he had, I think, 22 points a game as a defenseman, so that's pretty big.
Now, I hear there's a caller on the line for Odie to speak. So if you could get to him after your talk there, Yargich, that'd be awesome. Sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that's the one thing I want to say is I personally think Odie is one of the best players in the league, period. Anybody who's like played him in versus and back when like there was prizes for winning the Hut months and stuff like that, when Odie wants to play, he can play any position. I personally think he's the best defenseman in the league. I think he's one of the best overall players in the league, period. So I definitely agree with the award. Brody, what's your opinion on Odie? Be honest.
That's funny. There is absolutely no argument in the fact that he is deserving the award, and he's a fucking incredible player. Everything you just said about like how he is on the ice is, A1. I agree with it. And it's probably one of the most disappointing things about him is the fact that all the shit that came out with him cheating, and him and I had this talk yesterday when I issued his 2-season ban. It's like, it's too bad that a player of that talent and that capability of building such a strong team had to sink to the levels that he did. And that's my only thing with it about him. It's not personal at all, and I don't hate the guy. And it's just too bad that someone who could have been such a great leader on this website and in this league kind of went the opposite direction.
Yeah, I agree with that. Global, what's your opinion on Odie?
Every time I played against him, I don't think I've ever beaten him. So he's definitely one of the elite D in the league, if not the premier D-man.
All right. Well, now that Odie's gone ahead and packed up the backpack, and he's going to go ahead and hit the dusty trail for a little while, and we'll all the other defensemen will have a chance at making a name for themselves. Let's go ahead and move on to the next award here.
Wait. Right. There's a guest speaker that would like to talk. Mr. Guest Speaker, are you here?
Yes, I'm here to accept the award on behalf of Odie.
All right.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself there, guest speaker.
First, I just want to say you're welcome. This show was brutal, and I'm about to bring life to it. He wrote an acceptance speech to read on air, but his lawyer advised him to find someone else to read it. So whoever the girl was in here, you might want to shut your ears because the speech isn't meant for ladies. So when I finish this sentence, just imagine you were hearing Odie, okay?
All right. You have the floor.
Okay, first, I just would like to congrats to Yargich. This is your day, man. I want you to know how you feel hosting the show that just brought on the sound of greatness. I want you to tell everybody how it feels. Are you not memorized? Do you have chills down your spine? For you to be on here on Odie's radio show in Odie's Internet Hockey League, talking into Odie's mic while interviewing Odie. So just go ahead and ask me a question, Yargich.
Why are you the fucking best? That is what Yargich wants to know.
Good afternoon. Let's turn the camera to Daddy, to the best there is, was, and ever will be. And before I get banned, I want you all to remember one thing. When you're the greatest internet hockey player in the world today, they got a name for you. They don't call you a great internet hockey player. They call you Chris J. O'Donnell. If you're hearing this, you're a loser. You have undoubtedly failed at many things in your life, and now you can add more to that ever-growing pathetic list. Season 19 of the LGHL. I can say this because, as you may or may not know, the season ended Wednesday night in grand fashion. Winnipeg being crowned champion over some team made up of some of you scum idiots. The last time I've seen something fail so hard was when I watched a paraplegic attempt to put on a wristwatch. Some interesting things have happened since Winnipeg's non-surprising and glorious victory the other night. Each and one of your mothers, wives, girlfriends, and or gay lovers has reached out to me personally offering an endless array of deprived but oddly satisfying sexual favors while simultaneously denouncing their respective relationships with you. They are my property now and will be treated as such. Yeah, I'd like to give a few shout-outs. Shout out to Crass. I want you to remember who you are, remember what you stand for, and then try to not let you get you down. Shout out to Nuge for not making the playoffs. You are truly a visage of failure and inadequacy. Shout out to Figs, who lost to me every single time we played. You ran from me because you were scared and you sucked. Shout out to Oven Mitts. You should have someone sit next to you with a boom box that plays the sad Price is Right song every time you get the puck. Shout out to SGU Soccer. Just wanted to say congrats for your upcoming flick as a fluffer in the film Jurassic Park 4. As for Brody, a potted cactus and a slice of pizza from my oven were all on jeopardy. You wouldn't make the final round. As for the rest of you, I may not know you personally, but let me be clear that you are my subordinate. Nevertheless, I am very proud that you were able to at least show up for your games. No one expected you to do as much, and I'm sure the person who puts the protective helmet on your dumb head each day is very impressed. I could go on for hours about the comical incompetency of your virtual hockey knowledge / day-to-day lives. But so tape your photos to the bottom of my toilet so that I can continue to shit on your faces multiple times a day for an entire year, just like I have for the past few months. May the rest of the year 2000 in Odie bring you as much failure as this season did. Eat shit and die. Fucking Odie, champion and king of internet hockey. This show sucked before I got on, and it will soon suck again because I am gone. Kaboom.
I think that goes down as the best acceptance speech ever in the history of man. I think we all need to go ahead and salute ourselves to Odie, the king of internet hockeys.
I'm really glad that.
Why is he getting banned?
All right, we're taking you on. I don't know which one you are, which number you are. All right, anyways, all right, keep on going.
That was pretty.
Let Brody say what he was going to say.
It was Jakey Pooh Bear. That's who that was.
All right.
That explains a lot.
Alrighty, well, now that Odie has gone ahead and established his dominance over everybody in the league, which is 100% accurate and true, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next award, even though every award after this should be called the Odie Get Fucked Award. So now, the Odie Get Fucked Award, a.k.a. the Cowder Memorial Trophy. This trophy is the only one that I got to pick because, personally, Brody didn't want to do it, and the stats are hard as fuck to look up because it's hard to see who played less than 6 games in the NHL. But there is only one true award winner in this award. And I'm going to play my little dumb fucking draft sound here. This award goes out to Nukebomb81. The only guy who was really worth being nominated for it. He is the Rookie of the Year. May many years of prosperous future ass-kicking, I don't know, something dumb. Anyways, what's your guys' thought on that? Jakes, I'll go with you first.
Well, when we were talking the other day about all the awards, you wouldn't tell me, but you asked me who was a guy who played in the AHL last season who didn't play a lot, and I did give you the name Nuke Bomb, and I mean, I guess you looked it all up and you picked him, and he was a great choice as he was in my farm system for 2 seasons and he was dominant, and I'm just happy to see him being successful in the NHL and actually winning the cup before myself, which is really upsetting, but good for him for getting that cup win.
All right, Brody, real quick, we have to go see what your thought on Odie's acceptance speech was first, and then you can go ahead and give us some thoughts on the Calder Trophy.
It's pretty funny. Jakey Pooh Bear finally made his return. Surprised he could fucking get time out of his extremely busy schedule, being a fucking movie star in Hollywood, to make that. But it's actually pretty funny. It's all in good humor, so yeah, it was pretty good. Odie's pretty dominant too, so he's deserving of that award. I thought it was gonna be someone else. I didn't really expect it to be Jakey, to be honest, but that was still pretty funny. And yeah, Nuke Bomb is pretty fucking dominant as a rookie player. I think Crass is gonna fucking shit his pants though, because he already sent me like 4 Facebook messages saying if he didn't win the award, he was gonna lose his mind. So expect fucking big things from Crass.
Well, that's another reason why Nuke Bomb should have won. So
ROG in Minnesota could have easily won that award too.
ROG in Minnesota could have won that award too. The way I look at it is, if you're nominated for the Selke as a rookie in the NHL, I think being nominated for the Selke is one of the hardest awards to be nominated for because it requires such a specific skill set. So, in my opinion, I think it was a no-brainer. So, and somebody's listening to the radio. I think it's this guy, and he's muted. All right. So anybody else got any thoughts on the Cowder or Odie's awesomely amazing award acceptance speech?
That award speech was golden.
Okie dokies. All right. Now, next award we're going to go to is the Lady Bing Memorial Trophy. We have the Tight Spliff, Nuke Bomb, Bronx Bombers, and El Gandhi nominated for it. Again, this is the award for the most outstanding sportsmanship. Basically, you won some games and didn't get any penalty minutes and had some hits. So, Cakes, you got any thoughts on this award or
Lady Bing?
Awarded? Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say Nuke Bomb should hog all the trophies and be in all these nominations, but I mean, I feel like, you know, we had like 9 penalty minutes. Oh wait, never mind. There's someone with 4. Yeah, get this Tight Spliff guy the trophy. He deserves it the most. 4 penalty minutes is dominant.
All right, Global, you got any thoughts on it? All right, Global's not here. Boz, you got any thoughts on it? All right.
We have a couple of. Do we have all 3? 3 out of the 4? All I gotta say is, there's 2 of our 3 guys are deserving of it, and 1 guy is a real head case. So if it goes to Gandhi, I'm sorry, but that's just shouldn't have happened.
All right, well,
It's a real head case.
Since you guys have all the guys nominated, I'll go ahead and just say it right now. Nuke Bomb 81 is the Lady Bing and the Cowder winner. He's won multiple trophies as a rookie. His ego's gonna increase to the size of a hot air balloon. So congratulations on dealing with that next season.
I hope the fuck he's under contract. If not, he's going for like $9 million in bidding.
Yep.
Yeah, Sean, you're not trading for him. Sorry.
Give me Nuke Bomb. He needs to reunite with me. He told me to.
So, Brody, what was your thoughts on how this award should have been awarded?
This is the shittiest award to give out because there's not enough criteria based off the games to actually give it to someone. This one here is kind of a no-brainer, though. The kid had fucking 81 points. He led all the nominees. He led them all in scoring and still had under 10 penalty minutes. So kind of a no-brainer for a kid of his talent. So congrats on that award for sure.
Yep. All right. Now we're going to go to the award that, as a forward, is the award that everybody wants to win. It's the Frank J. Selke. Normally, I think it should go to a center. But I don't know. We'll see where it goes to here. I don't know if Mitch was playing center this season or playing wing over in Phoenix. I only signed up 2 weeks ago before the playoffs started. So, anyways, the nominees are Nuke Bomb 81, GB 521, Oven Mitch 19, and Mr. Boz over here, Sticky Marmalade. I'm going to go ahead and go to Global. Who do you think should win it and why? Oh, that's right. Global's not here again. Sorry.
Global's died.
Yeah, Global died. He's out doing strippers and blow in Miami right now, so I should be heading over to the Alligator Alley and joining them, but fuck, I'm still stuck doing this shit, right? So, Cakes, what do you think?
I don't want to hog these trophies with Nuke Bomb, so I'm not going to say him. I mean, the best overall performance, I would say Oven Mitch, because he's actually played center. He has a 55.5 faceoff percentage, and he's a two-way player. I play with him in club and stuff like that, and he plays pretty well. I would say him.
All right. Anybody else got any opinions on who should win the Selke?
Yeah, this one's a no-brainer.
No-brainer? All right.
Yeah,
well,
no-brainer. Based off the stats that are in that thread, this was a no-brainer.
All right. Well, we're going to do this little jingle here. And your winner for season 19, not season 20. I'm a little drunk right now, but I can remember that I fucked up all the seasons. It is Sticky Marmalade. Boz, your Stanley Cup winner. He is the Selke winner. And you got to go ahead and give an acceptance speech, Boz, if you're still on the line.
Oh, boy. Someone should have warned me ahead of time because I had to try and compete with the Odies now. I don't think that's going to work.
I told you on Facebook like fucking 2 days ago.
You did not.
You asked, and I wasn't lying.
You didn't say yes or no, though. You gave me a vague answer.
I think it's fair to say that every single accepting speech from now on is going to be hard to top Odie's.
I'd just like to thank my mom and my dad, and Nuke Bomb and Wonger. Special shout out to him. He's a beast. He carried us to the victory.
Can we honestly stop giving the trophies to Winnipeg? Someone different than Winnipeg this time. If there's another Winnipeg winner, change it. Not fair.
Yeah, actually, there's not. There might not be anymore. I don't know.
Spoiler
alert. We'll have to see.
We don't have anyone for the Hart, so I think we win. I think we're done. So.
Odie's nominated for the Norris, though.
Oh, right. We have
Odie under the
Norris nominees, too. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a great acceptance speech. Obviously, that's another award that's really hard to judge based off of like the stats that were given. One of the stats I'd like to see EA put in for club is giveaways and takeaways, and not have not have the giveaway stat be like really not like retarded. Because I think the way it works now is if you bank a saucer pass, even if the other guy picks it up first, it still counts as a giveaway sometimes because it's not like a direct pass to a player. So maybe EA will be smart and they will go ahead and allow us to get our stats of the game emailed to us. So then instead of doing pictures, we just like upload emails and all that shit.
No, there's always going to be pictures.
Yeah, well, I mean, pictures to verify, but not having to use pictures is like fucking you know what I mean? OCRing them and stuff, you know, so. But whatever. Anyways, congratulations, Paz, on the Selkie. Another award for Winnipeg. They're obviously running away with the whole show. So, all right. Next award here, we're going to go over to the Vezina. And the nominees are Roski 5, Kopitar, Rob Caston Jr., and Stam Toast. Paz, I'm going to go with you. Who do you think should be the big goalie for the year?
Well, this award I actually changed my vote, so I'm not going to say who it was, but there's 2 or 3 guys here that are ahead of the other 1 or 2, and I actually really liked ROG off Minnesota too this season. He really came out of nowhere, and he actually made a Can-Am. Just a little shout out there, but yeah, there's a couple guys here that could all win this, so I think it's a close one actually.
All right, what about you, Cakes? What's your pick?
I mean, Raj dominated pretty well. He had a really, looking at it, good save percentage and everything. The thing that hurts him is he didn't play as many games. And I would probably say, sadly enough, it'll either be Kopitar, well, not sadly for Kopitar or Stamkos, but it'll be one of those guys. If another Winnipeg guy wins it, I'm going to lose my mind, though.
All right, anybody else here got a comment?
He carried Minnesota.
All right.
He put Minnesota on his back.
Sean, just because you're involved in Minnesota, you know nobody's going to win an award from there, right?
Yeah, I'm well aware of that.
Oh, that's rude. That's rude.
All right, and your winner for the season 19 Vezina is Roski 5. He had a 77.78 save percentage. His record versus non-playoff teams was 15-0, and his record versus playoff teams was 18-10-1. So I know a lot of people think that might have been a little bit of an upset, given there being 2 bigger names, and ROG Crafted Jr., who is a up-and-coming player in the Can-Am. But at the end of the day, the stats don't lie, and that is the guy who is mounted on the throne of the goalies for this season. So what's your thoughts on that, Boz?
He was one of my guys that I was thinking might actually win it. So, well, there only was 4 that could have, I guess. But he was one of the guys that I put ahead of the others. But he, like the East, I don't think they got a lot of love in a lot of the awards. But the Islanders especially, I mean, they had quite a few guys on that team that looked like they were kind of underrated and under the radar. And I'm pretty glad that Roski won it because there's not much love over there, and he's a very good goalie. So
the voting for that award was literally one. It was one vote. It was either going to be, it was tied right pretty well to the end, and it was really tight, and it was pretty well two horse race. It was Kopitar and Roski for that award right to the very end. So.
Well, and one thing too I'd like to point out too is when you're a $750,000 goalie, right, and you go ahead and win the Vezina, that means that somebody had enough foresight to realize that this guy isn't a big name, but he's a big time player, and B, somebody who's not necessarily recognized, going ahead and showing up, stepping up to the plate. It goes to show you that every season it seems to be like there's 1 or 2 goalies that wasn't necessarily like that known before, and even guys like Denham. I remember back in the VHL days, I was going ahead and looking up club stats for these fucking like twos goalies. And I looked up Denham, and I was like, oh, man, I should get him. And then I looked up Big Ski, and I was like, oh, this guy's got about similar stats. So I ended up messaging Big Ski, and I ended up picking him up. Both those goalies had really good seasons that year. But, you know, every year there's usually one or two goalies that just comes out of the blue, and then they make themselves a staple in the Sixers community for time to come. So congratulations for winning the Vezina. I know you won it over some bigger names, and I'm glad to see the underdog win every once in a while. So, Cakes, you got any opinions on that at all? Or
You misread his save percentage. It was actually 80.48 total. You just read his playoff team one. But yeah, definitely deserving of a guy. I mean, he played really well looking at his record in that. No, like Raj also, like Sean was saying, you know, he carried him, but I mean, having like less games played and everything like that really hurts your position at where you could be voted. But yeah, Broski definitely deserves it looking at his
That's
stats.
probably my fault because I try to be even with goalies up until, you know, when we got Billy Gilly.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Sorry,
well,
RG.
that's another question. That's another question I got too. Do you think that if you come from a team where you have two really quality goalies and you end up doing, you know, more like a 55-45 split on the games, do you think that really hurts their chances in winning awards? Or
clearly it does.
I feel it does. As if you play more games and have the best like save percentage and stuff, you're gonna beat anyone that has less games played than you, in my opinion.
All I can say is just look at combined Billy and ROG in Minnesota, allowing. I mean, obviously I'm being, you know, favoritism here, but you know, they between the two of them, they allowed the fewest goals in the entire league.
Yeah,
that's impressive having you on defense.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate that. I was waiting for the dig, but you know what's even more impressive is that the fact that we allowed the fewest goals and I helped them there.
Very true, Sean.
Or you got carried. The backpack was big.
You know what? The backpack was big, so I thank Dumba for that. Dumba is a beast.
Yep. Well, hey, look at it this way, man. Both your guys as goalies got to win an award for the William Jennings, right? So it's nice to see that not one goalie wins, like, you know, all the awards. At least they got spread out a little bit. So we're kind of lucky, and that's one of the positions is goalie where, like I was saying, you know, sometimes guys just come out of the blue and big names that used to be the man get regulated to subpar goalies, and new names come up and they become the new hot thing in the purple position. So, but
I saw ROG in
now,
scouting. So. I saw ROG in our first scouting game, and he was a first day bid, and I was so glad he never got bidded up.
All right. Well, now that we've done the Vezina, time to keep on going over here. This award, the James Norris Memorial Trophy, is probably one of the most anticipated awards. I'd say that for defensemen, this is like the only thing that really they can look forward to at the end of the year is trying to win a Norris. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of really skilled guys that just don't get put in the right situations on teams to be able to even be considered in the running for this. The nominees, you got El Gandhi, you got Foote, you got Exody, who already should have won this award by his awards acceptance speech, but that's another discussion for another time. And you got Terry Tor. I'm going to go ahead and go with Boz. What do you think about those four?
Two of the four are clearly head and shoulders above the other two, and I'm not going to say which, but everyone knows which. Gandhi, like I said before, was kind of a head case this season, not going to lie, but when it comes down to him and Odie, he actually had a much better record. Well, not much better, but he won. I think he only lost one game in regulation, and he put up as many or just as many points. So, honestly, I think he should win this for us. So.
All right. Well, Sean, what's your opinion on it? Because you're the resident defenseman in the group right now.
Yeah, why wasn't I nominated? No, I'm just kidding. Give it to Foote. I think Foote should win it. Foote's a solid dude. I got to play with Foote last season in Washington, so that's my guy. I think Foote should win it.
Kate, what's your opinion here, buddy?
I'll just go Foote because everyone's going to think it's Odie, and it probably is Odie because he dominated all year. But Foote actually has really good stats for not being ever liked or loved in this little talk right now. So yeah, I'll go footy also.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. Also, I think that maybe his stats weren't as good, and obviously, I'm not gonna get into a comparison of like button skill, because these awards are supposed to be technically for like what performance you put up each season based on your like set of conditions, like what you had to work with and stuff. But at the same time, we got to go ahead and announce the winner. So we'll do our little cheesy ESPN sound. Your season 19 Norris winner is El Gandhi. Right P. Another award for Winnipeg. Boz, I'll let you go ahead and give your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for, honestly, because as good as Odie was this season, we got to spread the love around a little bit, and Gandhi actually had a really dominant season for us, and not too many people knew who he was or really thought about him. I mean, someone did snipe us on him, like in the last 5 seconds. I think we had him for $5 million, but it was $6 million well spent. So.
Well, when you look at the actual stats, right, and obviously, like, depends on what line matchups you get and stuff, but when you only lose one game in regulation the whole damn season, I think that puts you in the forefront for going ahead and being eligible for this award and winning it. As a defenseman, you really can't control your points a lot of the times, or even your plus-minus, depends on who you play with. But at the end of the day, you can have a major effect in games, and when you only lose one game in regulation, and you get points in 25 games out of 26, that's pretty fucking elite, right? So I don't care what lines you're playing against. That's the way this game is with EA's bounces and all that shit. That takes some dedication.
This award, man, was like a 7-player race. Like this is probably the hardest award to fucking judge and determine. And there's 7 guys. Like Trauby's not even on the list, and as much of a douchebag as Trauby is, like he's definitely, in any other season with his numbers, he could have been able to, make that list as well. He's always pretty rattled about not making it, but he was a hell of a guy. And obviously having 3 out of the top 6 defensemen in the NHL is a huge key to Winnipeg's success for the season. It's also crazy too, like Foot had a hell of a year, but just statistically, just Gandhi was the one, man. Gandhi was the one for sure. So, without Gandhi in the picture, Foot probably would have won this award.
Yeah, Cakes, what do you think about the Gandhi winning this?
I mean, I had a feeling it'd be another Winnipeg guy. Like, they both dominated Gandhi and Odie, so I mean, regardless of what one it was, they would earn it. So I mean, Gandhi put up amazing numbers. Odie did. All 4 of these guys in there put up amazing numbers. It's sad they can't all win it.
Well, and that's the whole thing. I think that, like, when you actually look, like I was saying, the win-loss ratio, 26 games played, 1 regulation loss. That's pretty fucking ridiculous, right? So, like Brody was saying, I think if Gandhi had maybe, like, 4 regulation losses or something, I think you could go ahead and give it to Foot. I mean, obviously, Odie had an awesome season, too, but I don't think Foot has much to work with on his team as Odie and Gandhi did, right? So, obviously, that's proof because Winnipeg won the Stanley Cup at the end of the day. So, I want to go ahead and say that everybody that was nominated, and even the guys that weren't nominated, like Trauby, I thought Trauby had an amazing season from what I saw. And to me personally, my 2 favorite awards are the Norris and the Selke. I think those are the 2 awards that are the hardest to win, and I think those are the ones that mean the most. So that's just my personal opinion. But Sean, you got any thoughts on it at all, or?
No, I mean, what are you gonna do? Guy loses 1 game in regulation. It's pretty deserving right there.
He lost 1 game in the playoffs too. That was to me. Just keep that in mind.
I didn't even realize he lost 1 game in the regulation to a playoff team. Wow, okay, yeah, definitely deserve it even more now.
Oh. Alrighty, well, we're getting down to the last couple minutes here. Let's go ahead and go to the Hart Memorial Trophy, obviously awarded to the most valuable player in the league. The nominees for your Season 19 Hart Trophy winner is GB51, XO Playmaker, CJ142, and Bradley. Real quick, Sean, who's your ace in the hole? Who do you think's gonna win this nomination? Who do you think deserves it?
I think Bradley's gonna win it.
You got any reason why, or?
Just overall, a good season, over 100 points, more assists than goals. Yeah, he played on a good line. I just think that He carried his team. Without him, I don't think his team would have even made the playoffs.
All right, Boz, what's your opinion?
This one's got to be GB. He's a good step ahead of the other three. All due respect to all of them, they're all great players, but he just should have this.
Cakes? You there, Cakes? I guess not. All right, we're going to go ahead and just call the fucker. Let me go ahead and do our little music. And the winner is Season 19 Heart Award, GB 521. Brody, what's your thoughts on what it took for him to win this one?
This is a tough award too. Like there's lots of debate in the thread about obviously about how much value Playmaker had to his team. Obviously Boston wouldn't have had any success if it wasn't for him, and the things he did when he got traded there was impressive. It's kind of a surrounding cast award too. Like GB was playing with Shredder the whole year too, and I think if Shredder would have played more games, he would have been nominated as well. Because Shredder's another player that only lost one game in regulation, so it's a tough award to pick, but definitely GB. Like all those guys are pretty deserving, but definitely GB is the winner for sure of that award. He only lost one game in regulation, two in overtime, so he's a hell of a player for sure.
Well, I think what it comes down to is who's the identity of a team, right? And when I go ahead and look at the Islanders roster, when I go ahead and look at the stats, I see Shredder, and Shredder's obviously an awesome player. Tendy's good and all that stuff. But at the same time, I believe a lot that the center has a big impact in the game, and I think that a center can win you or lose you a game. And obviously their record was really good. He was playing with good guys at the same time, too, but I think it was kind of a no-brainer. He didn't have the most amount of points, but you look at his regulation record and all that stuff, I think it really comes down to anybody could have really won, but at the same time, somebody's got to be, head and shoulders above the rest of the group, and that was GB. So, Boz, you got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, that's kind of what I expected. I mean, you look at Washington; they had a great season, but like Bradley there, he's a great player. I mean, he had to carry Denham, but they didn't have the greatest outcome at the end of the day. And a guy like Playmaker, I mean, he's probably the best at the actual buttons out of all those guys. But he was on Boston, like you guys mentioned, and they obviously didn't have too much success. And then, of course, like GB, I don't know, to me, anyway, I hadn't really taken a lot of note of him in the last couple seasons, but he really proved himself this year, and now he's on 9th, I guess, and he's just dominant. So.
Well, and one thing I would like to mention, since you mentioned it also, is the fact that, like you said, Playmaker's on Boston. Even though his stats were really good, you can't deny his skill. You can't deny his ability to break a game open, right? But at the same time, though, I still think that in order to be a Hart Trophy winner, you still have to go ahead and let your team make the playoffs. Now, I don't think that being a forward and only being able to play 3 games a week, no matter what, if the rest of your team can't do the job, it doesn't matter what you do. It's not like a real NHL game where you play every single game, right? So, but I think if Boston would have made the playoffs, and that would have mean Playmaker's record was probably a little bit better, his stats were a little bit better, I definitely think he would have given it to him. But congrats to GB. It's good to see some of the players who aren't necessarily who are the up and comers going ahead and making a splash and winning some awards. So we got about like 3 or 4 minutes left over here, right? So
yeah, there's actually also 2 awards that are on that list that has to be announced too, eh?
All right. Well, you want to go ahead and do the honors there, Brody?
Yeah, I'm just pulling something up right now. The Ted Lindsay is always an award that's like kind of a community award. It's voted on by the players. It's awarded to the player who's pretty well, it's the most skilled player. Like, who do you think is the best player based on the season? The nomination list is always really, really huge. And I believe this season it went. Playmaker did win this award, I believe. I'm just pulling up the stats right now. 1 second. Yeah, Ted Lindsay.
Well, I've been getting drunk the whole time. I'm on beer number 7. So, if anybody ends up playing me in some 6s later, I'm going to be drunk as shit.
Yeah, it's 33.9% voted in favor of Playmaker. Close second was GB, but yeah, Playmaker is the winner of this award for sure. But without question, this award's awarded to the most outstanding player voted by the player. So seeing what he did accomplish on that team was definitely pretty impressive. That's pretty awesome for sure. And then the other award is every season there's always a community involvement award. So it goes to a player who's been involved in the community, has done things for the community. So during a season like this, when we started out pretty rough, we weren't really sure what was going to happen. We did have a couple guys that stood out for sure, so it was definitely nice to see the stuff that Zach did for the community, all the videos that he posted, all the things he handed out right at the beginning when there was no media and there was no one else around. It was definitely really impressive to see Zach be that involved. So the community involvement award for this season definitely goes to Zach.
Congratulations, Zach. I don't know if you're still on the line or not, but
yeah, I'm sorry.
I think you are actually. You got any award speech to give, or got about 30 seconds?
First of all, I'd like to thank Brody for giving me this award. Truly, then, to be honest, this goes to the entire community, though. I couldn't have done this without every single one of you guys watching my shows. There was some negative feedback along the way, but at the end of the day, we got this media going, and I hope that it made the season more enjoyable for you guys. But at the end of the day, like the great Eric E30 said, it's for the community. So this goes out to you guys. Also, I thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for giving me everything He does.
I got one thing to say to you, Zach, because I'm half in the bag. There is no such thing as bad publicity, right? So you let the haters hate. You let those sexy cheeks rule supreme, and you go ahead and show them how the ladies love the cheeks. And anybody else got their last shout out before I play some music and hang up this fucking shit?
Can I interject with a message from Travi?
Yep.
Yeah, let's hear this.
He wants Brody to know that he would like to douche your dad's ass with his cum for calling him a douchebag.
Nice, that's funny.
It's only a game. Why do you have to be mad?
All right. Well, anybody else got anything to say? Because I'm about ready to hit this music and just get off here. So.
I'd like to say thanks, Regis, for putting together a huge show. I know all the audio stuff that you played throughout the show has taken a lot to put together.
All right, man. All right, everybody. I enjoyed doing it. I've had no sleep. I'm drunk. I'm gonna go play some sixes. Let's go do this thing. Here comes the music. I hope you guys all have a good season next year, and we're out.
See ya.